Okay, Emily. Emily, can we start? Micah, we all ready? Good. Okay. Emily, good. Emily. Emily, can we start? Micah, we all ready? Good. Okay. Emily, good. Emily. Emily, can we start? Micah, we all ready? Good. Okay, thank you. It's let's see, 9:01 a.m. and we can call the Fire Commission meeting to order. Okay, first up on the agenda is roll call.
Good morning. Cardine Wolf,
Here.
Ralen Rabara,
Here.
Rick Porter, Eric Inoy,
Here.
Derwin Ignacio,
Here.
Brian Kushney,
Here.
Les Hanano,
Here.
Gerald Kosaki, Chair.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have quorum. Okay, next up is any public statements on the agenda items. I see that we had some public testimony, but nobody's here. Is anybody on Zoom?
Currently, Chair, there's no one on Zoom with their hand up that wants to testify. So if anyone does want to testify, you can raise your virtual hand. If not, you will have opportunities to testify as the meeting goes on. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda is approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
DCC Takamura, just for the commission's information, the July 21st meeting minutes will be on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you. So the minutes. Yeah, do we have any other minutes that we need to review? Do we have the minutes from July?
That's what I just mentioned. It's going to be on the next
Oh,
agenda.
even the regular
Yeah.
minutes. Okay. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, so we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, we have. Okay, sorry, correction. We have the August 6th special minutes, special meeting minutes. Okay, did everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
If not, if somebody would like to make a motion to approve that minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 6th.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hanano, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wolf and Commissioner Hanano. Okay, any discussion? Do we have anybody from the public who would like to testify on behalf of the minutes? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. And we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Fire Chief's report. Thank you, Chief.
All right, good morning, commissioners. Daniel Volpe, temporary fire chief. So I understand we're not live, we're not streaming this one, we're not sharing this live. So I'll go refer to the pages of the document by page number as we move through everything. So what you see on the cover page, that is Tanker 9. That is at one of our wildland brush fires. We were quite a bit. We thought July was busy. August turned out to be even busier. But during the month of July, we were at a number of fires. That is Tanker 9. It's a beautiful photo. Happy to. That's again an example of Our maintenance shop, our operations personnel out there working. So that's at one of our July brush fires. We'll move to page 3. What you're going to notice as you've probably noticed all by now, as you going through the report, that we've made a few adjustments. Referencing some of the discussions over the last few meetings, identify there's a lot of revision that can happen. There's a lot of opportunity for some improvement, and so you'll notice some changes within this. Again, though, however, when it comes to financial reporting for the department, we are in a middle area where we have not been able to close out 2026 yet. So fiscal year 2026, still waiting on final expenditure numbers, still waiting on final reporting numbers. So again, there's going to be a number of estimates in here, as well as reporting for July is the first month of the fiscal year. Some of that reporting is still not quite up to where we're at. These are subject to our problems with the county system, the Connect system that has been plaguing us all year. So we'll see some good numbers here. There'll be some estimates as well. Again, we're still subject to the county system, and as complex as it is, as we try to track. Our chief's office program budget objective, 95% current policies and procedures and MOAs, MOUs, MAAs. That's on track to hopefully get to the goal by the end of the year. Our fiscal branch, we're leading our monthly budget meetings. Those are coming up. That's starting to be a regular monthly occurrence, which is good. As we noticed at the end of last fiscal, because of the challenges with reporting, we ended up with some kind of down to the wire expenditures, trying to encumber funds as the end of the fiscal. And that's aided by reporting that comes out. So bringing those meetings back every month is one of my goals. And you'll see that numbers increasing kind of over time in the last few months. Again, fiscal year 2027 appropriation is 88 million. Adjusted appropriation is 76. And that right now we're at 10 million so far expenditure, about 12% of our budget. Salaries and wages, what you're looking at there is a monthly breakdown of total S&W. And so where we get to that 10 million, essentially is that 8.9 as reported at the end of July, in addition to supplies and equipment budget. So we are on track as far as overall spending as we move forward. Some of the things that make a difference for our firefighters, mileage reimbursements is number one. Again, because of Connect, there was no system to pay mileage claims for employees that earned it through the CBAs. CBAs, HDA, FFA allow for mileage claims, just like you guys also entitled to mileage reimbursement from the county. Except we didn't have a system in place to kind of take care of that. We've been working with the controller, working with Department of Finance, and able to make sure that we compensate our employees correctly. So mileage reimbursements, we've implemented some new procedures, had to change the way we do things, and we're getting all those mileage payments paid, which is a very good thing. 2025 year-end leave reconciliations. Those were processed in July, and that allows employees to leave balances be updated more accurately reflected in the system. Again, as part of the HR side and the payroll side of the Connect system, the employees need to know where their balances are, their vacation, their sick leave, and so on. And so that's what that's for. Having that in there allows us to really accurately report, which is important. Fiscal year 27 implementation and 26 closeout. Again, we're trying to close out the last of our open POs. The reason that we cannot close fiscal year 26 is because some of the POs that were encumbered in May and June still have yet to be paid. So until that expenditure is paid, we really don't have the final closeout. Now, when we switch from fiscal year from 26 to 27, availability of funds, a lot of that rests with finance. Like everybody else, we're kind of working through that. So as we close out 26, as we move in to start spending 27's money, there'll be some overlap, and we'll report on that as it comes up. You notice a big change to our grants reporting. So these are grants in the sense that we applied for some. These are also grants that are given to the department via the state, right? On our EMS contract, as you guys know, state of Hawaii pays for EMS for our department. Essentially, they fund it as a grant. They send us about $30 million a year. They considered a grant. So the first one you see here is LEPC. This is a grant. Fiscal year 27 appropriation is $48,000. Right now, adjusted appropriation available funds is $180,000 that rests within. Yes.
Chief, just a little clarification on this. Look, the LEPC is the Local Emergency Planning Committee. And
Not commission.
yeah, no, but that is not the state. That is only county. So each county jurisdiction has their own LEPC.
Okay.
And then the state's commission is the Hawaii State Emergency Response Commission. So the Hawaii State Emergency Response Commission. So it's the SERC, State Emergency Response Commission, but for Hawaii, it's Hawaii State Emergency Response Commission. This is all in the federal law. And so the State Emergency Response Commission is what all the jurisdictions, so each LEPC's chair sits on the board and on the commission, in addition to these other agencies like the Coast Guard, EPA, and all that. And what they do, and the State Emergency Response Commission is how they get the funding is through a couple of things. One is Tier 2 reporting. So the Tier 2 reporting is from businesses that are required to report their hazardous materials, right? And you're aware of that. And their fee every year annually is $200. So they have to pay that. And then that money goes to each county as jurisdiction and to the LEPCs. And that's how the LEPCs get their budget. The other way that the State Emergency Response Commission gets their money is through grants. And the main grant that we get in the Response Commission is the HMAP grant, Hazardous Materials Emergency Planning Grant. And that's the grant that the fire department uses for the hazmat training, for the HazTech training and things like that. So just clarification on that between the state and the local division. So it's a local emergency planning committee is the LEPC, and the state is the State Emergency Response Commission.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try to make those corrections. Thank you. I know you have a lot of expertise in that area, so
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll make the adjustments to reflect it accurately.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Fire department private contributions. These are private donations received to support fire department activities, including contributions designated for specific programs, equipment, and purchases. What you're looking at is 12,000 here. This represents contingency CRF funds from the county council, identified projects within the department, and then routed through nonprofits to accept a donation to the county. The volunteer firefighter assistance grant, that's a federal grant. That's what right now we've got a couple that are ongoing. The 2026, application is pending. This will be for a vehicle in the Puna district. 2025, again, was awarded. We are working on that one. That's going to be a brush truck kind of slip-on pump to replace a vehicle in Puanahulu, a volunteer resource there. Staffing for adequate fire and emergency response safer. This is the federal fund that applied our positions. We've been talking about that for a few months now. I'm happy to announce on the 2nd of September, we'll be hiring our first safer recruit. This is a long time coming, and again, a really complex, kind of cumbersome project to do a parallel recruitment on a temporary and a permanent basis. But we will have our first one hired beginning just in a few days. And we look to recruit in March again to fill the remaining 11 safer positions, those temporary positions. Below that, you'll see the wireless E911. This is another state grant. This is from the E911 board. When you pay your phone bill, a little piece of your phone bill goes to this committee. That committee then maintains 911 services across the state. This is at a total of $418,000. That is just getting started. That's 2027. If you look at 2027's report, we've expended nearly all of that. So over 73% of that has been expended, with probably plans to encumber the rest of it. The Assistance to Firefighter Grant, AFG, federal. So this is Calm the Chaos. This is something we've been talking about for about 3 years. In different phases of it. If you look in one of the questions, this one, I'm happy to say this has been completely 100% expended. I know it is quarterly reporting, so the last couple of meetings, it looked like we weren't going to expend the funds. We were able to do up the final tallies for the fiscal year, and yes, we can confirm that we were able to spend all $488,723 were spent, which is good. We're really happy with the outcome of Calm the Chaos and this initiative, the training initiative. The textbook and the curriculum will be included in our core library. It'll be part of our promotional processes moving forward. It's going to help develop SOG development as we start developing SOGs. Again, this is 3 years of work kind of culminating that really sets us on the right path. You'll see Hapuna and Kua Bay funding. Again, those beaches are state parks, so the lifeguard services are contracted by the state, funded through the state. This is 2027's appropriation, 1.3 for Hapuna, and then about 709,000 for Kua Bay. CBC, Community Development Block Grants, CDBG mitigation funds. These are federal funds. These follow some of the major incidents, whether it's Lahaina, whether it was Mono Road fire. These are funding for federal declarations, federal disaster declarations. So some of, correction. This is our CBDG through housing. These are not our larger disaster recovery mitigation grants. These are through our housing. These are funded this year, brush trucks, mobile command trailer, and total, and we should just 100% obligated all of those funds, our CBDG funds for brush trucks and for the mobile command trailer that's coming out. Fair share funds, again, these are funds that are identified in our budget, but we cannot spend yet. These have just been allocated from finance to certain specific projects. One was for a Lely EV lifeguard tower. That fund has been allocated and delivered, and with the closeout of 26's POs, we should be able to pay the vendor for that one. I know they're awaiting payment. That HFD design maintenance shop, that 684K is included, but is not spendable until such time as we have land. So we need to, that's the design cost anticipated for the building. So as we identify a property to build this mechanic shop, and we've made huge strides forward, we do have a piece of land identified, do have a plan forward for a new maintenance shop. That money will then that money there will go towards design. Dollar value of grants applied for this year. So far, we have not applied yet. We did submit our FEMA series, AFG and FP&S grants through FEMA earlier in the month. This will get brought up to date here shortly. As far as what we've received this year, that 22,000, that's from something smaller. That's from, I think that's the remaining, some of the CBDG funds that are left remaining. The Human Resources Branch report, efficient response to human resources queries, 100% out of 105. So 105 asks. These are when our employees from every section of our department reach out to human resources. So 100% of the time of those 105 asks, we've responded back to them in less than 2 days. That's a testament to our HR section working overtime, working all the time to try to make those requests. It's super important to me that our employees know that the administration is there when you ask. We are there for you. We ask questions. So that's a really key indicator that can affect morale, that can affect that kind of employee experience. I'm really happy to see that up. And if you look, 105 requests in a month is a lot. I am also happy to say we are, as you guys are aware, we are growing our HR section by adding an employee. We're recruiting for that also. So we'll be moving up for the first time. We'll be moving up to 4 personnel in the HR section, which should help as our department continues to grow. Average internal investigations completion, we have 2 averaging 120 days. Again, this is subject to some external investigators, internal investigations. This is another one. I'm very happy to say that numbers shrink over time. Earlier in the year, the number was quite a bit higher. We are starting to resolve these investigations, close them out. Again, it has to do with employee experience. Every employee of the fire department should know that the administration is doing everything they can to respond to their questions, their concerns, their complaints, and all of those things. So as we see those numbers drop, it makes me feel like we're definitely reacting to the needs. The vacancy rate below 7%, we're at 14% still. Again, that's some of that's, majority of that is in our emergency communications and our emergency operations section. We graduated 15 recruits on the end in July, I want to say the 17th. So those 15 went out and filled up 15 vacancies overnight, which brings our staffing up. Which looks, so if you look in our emergency operations EMS section, we're still at 11%. That's good. We are improving, but overall, we want to see those numbers drop. We do anticipate a full recruit class of 20 coming up here in the next couple of days that should further address those vacancies. With the creation of new captain positions, with the creation of we created 5 new captain positions in the last few months. That we've been able to recruit into them, fill them through promotion, which at the end then leaves, those are 5 brand new positions that then turn into 5 firefighter vacancies. So it's a win and a gap, and a win and a gap. And as we manage our recruitments, we'll continue to fill those. So active recruitments that you'll see there, fire rescue specialist, that is open and closed. We expect that recruitment has opened and closed. We should have an assessment should be coming up shortly. Firefighter recruit, we did extend formal offers. We have a full class of 20 recruits. Including our safer recruit and our fire EMS recruit. We're happy to fill those positions also. Water safety officer, the physical agility exam notifications were sent out in July. Water safety officer 3, we did recruit, promoted a new WSO 3 to fill a vacancy. That employee began on July 1st. Account clerks, office assistant 3s, and a human resource assistant is all administrative positions within fire admin that are all being recruited and actively filled. My goal is to fill, every time there's a vacancy, we'll fill it as we come up. Sorry, I missed the page number. We are on page 9 for those watching. I apologize. Again, so year-to-date expenditures aren't quite available yet. We are spent through July, so what the numbers, the salary and wages you saw earlier kind of reflect some of those numbers. The rest is going to be equipment and OCE spending as we go through. So you'll notice S&W really unavailable. Our goal is 13% right now in the year. Again, this reflects 3 pay periods in July, while June has only 1. And so if you look at why the percentage is always higher in July than it is in June, it has to do with the number of pay periods, and S&W is directly tied to that. So if that's why that percentage is always higher. OCE, we're at 15% spent. Equipment, we're at 1% spent. So right now, through July, we submit all of our specs, all of our large equipment purchases. Everything is going in, it's gone into purchasing. So we have submitted a number of large vehicle purchases, large equipment items, large purchases. They were going into purchasing, they'll go get set up for bid, they'll go out to bid. We'll start to encumber those funds, but that's always our goal. Early on in the year, we want to try to spend as much of that equipment budget as possible. That'll come through. And within operations, 95% of all assigned training completed. July was at 54%. Our goal is to get to 95 again. That's coming up. Our vehicle checks and operations section at 69. And then we did, I will say, the Hurricane Lala and the power outages did also identify a gap there, where if we're expecting electronic reporting and there's no electricity to the station, it's very difficult then to report on some of those. So we will see some numbers in August that may or not be accurate. It may not be flattering, but they'll be reflective of some of the significant outages we received through the effects of the storm.
Chief, just Commissioner Christie, real quick question. I'm not a numbers guy, an accountant, but the adjusted appropriations, that's how much is given for the year?
Correct.
Like
no.
salaries and wages, that's what is given for the year.
That's correct. So that is our appropriation for the year.
And then the year-to-date expenditures that's unavailable, but yet you say that we spent 13%. So is this like
so this looks like the numbers that was reported earlier, S&W numbers, are through July 31st are accurate. And so those numbers looks like didn't make it into that column. The goal is 13%. So we have not yet spent 13%. That goal is 13. As reported, our S&W through July was about $8 million.
Mm-hmm. So is this like a data entry thing? Is this a programming thing that the numbers, I mean, it seems like in the computer age, everything should be readily available and to spit that information out whenever you're ready. So I find it hard to believe that the whole county is experiencing these issues and flying blind, or is it just the fire department? You know what? I'm just curious where we're all standing on this.
So you're absolutely right. We are, however, and I wouldn't call us flying blind, but you're absolutely right. The limits of Connect we've been talking about it for 6 months, about how the challenges with this new reporting system, double reporting by the Department of Finance, where there was double entries that threw off numbers and adjusted percentages, inability to close out POs. Inability to transfer work assignments for somebody who's got expense authority to approve expenses. That person leaves the department, now a new person, and they're unable to get those same authorities. Working with DIT to go through the electronic system to be able to assign different responsibilities to new accountants and new account clerk staff. All of those changes, you are right. It seems like in 2026, this should be resolved. That's not the case. I agree with you that they should be resolved, but we work constantly with the controller, with the Department of Finance to work through these nuances. Mileage claims, again, something that the fire department has been paying mileage claims without issue for decades. New system, there is no mechanism within the existing system as it existed a few months ago to pay mileage. It wasn't able to track it. The paper forms weren't able to get moved over. So our finance has to create a system working with Cherry Road, working with Oracle as the vendors of this software, and our fiscal to create a system that we can then pay our employees appropriately. And so, for a couple of months, people weren't getting their mileage claims. That's through no fault of the fire department. That is we are doing everything we can to work with finance to work through these issues. But we can definitely speak either here or offline about the numerous challenges that we've encountered, not just our department, but police department, DPW. Every department has their own challenges. The fire department, as you know, we have 600 employees, we have 3 unions, and we have about 7 different bargaining units, and each one has different compensation packages, premiums, adjustments, differentials of all sorts and sizes, as well as all of our accounts payable information, all of our expense reporting, all of our how we process invoices, all of that is dependent on the system. The controller they meet every Tuesday. The county's controller through finance every Tuesday gives updates. Okay, this has been fixed. This has been adjusted. This is still working on. There's still no fix for. Our finance, the head of our fiscal section has been working with the other heads of other fiscal sections to identify workarounds and ways to pull information. When the expenditure reports are pushed out of finance, they're pushed without any account numbers, and it's just the way the system is working. So our staff is then having to take raw data and then translate it into something that's useful to our section heads that we can then, 1, we can manage with, and 2, that we can report on. There's a number of issues. I wish this thing was solved months ago. In fact, as we were reporting through May and June, actually April, May, and June, when we were reporting, there was questions about what have we spent? Why is this account overdrawn? Why are we close to the end? These questions all came up, and the answer is unfortunately the same, is that we're still trying our best to manage it. Now, as far as that 0% used and that year-to-date expenditures that are unavailable, that might be a typo, because if you look earlier on, it does account for S&W through that period. That S&W could probably get punched into that little gap, and that may be represented as why its current year-to-date is vacant, but our goal still remains 13%. And so, as reported in the earlier pages, at about 10 million, we're still right on track as far as where we should be for July, especially when you add our OC and equipment budget for those sections.
Yeah, Chief, related to that. So it's just the salaries and wages that the accounting is not being able to be recorded now, because there's the other budget items, line items that have been tracked.
Yeah.
But it's only the salaries and wages I see. So is that the problem? It's just the salaries and wages?
Well, I think there's a couple of problems. As you look on page 3 of the report, year-to-date salary and wages is at 8.9 million. So that's what's coming straight out of payroll. That doesn't maybe necessarily reflect some of the premiums, some of the other adjustments, but that does we are able to track, and that's coming directly out of payroll. And so that is a 1-to-1. But whether that accurately reflects all of the S&W paid during that period, all the appropriate premiums, all the appropriate differentials, any of the mileage claims that sort of come in after the fact, probably not. So that's a raw number in order to give the commission some idea of where we are at, actually. But it's not the final number. And so and again, everything with kind of an asterisk, excuse me. And if you look through, again, on page 3, our July payroll and budget numbers are preliminary. July's gross earnings have been included in the year-to-date expenditures. So that's our earnings through the entire department through those 3 months. That probably could have been plugged into that 0 on page 8, or that unavailable number on page 8, as a more accurate reflection of where we're at with that. S&W, we are able to track through earnings, like as we do earnings reports. Equipment and OCE budget, we are able to track. This report will get better and will get more accurately reflecting.
I'm still I did basic payroll and stuff for, my wife's company, which is a very simple, small deal. But once you input salaries and wages and you pay an employee, that's in the system, and you can pull that information out. And that's not the way am I oversimplifying how things should work?
I would say to an extent, you are oversimplifying it. It's the way this, and foundationally and fundamentally, you're absolutely correct. You have a bank, you have an account, you You have $100, you pay somebody 50, this drops to 50 and he gets 50 and now you can track what you paid, right? It makes perfect sense. The system is not quite that simple. How access is entered, how accountants are able to put in their work, how the numbers are able to be tracked and reporting, again, over the county. You know, and the county runs nearly $1 billion operating budget. The fire department itself runs nearly a $90 million operating budget. It's not quite that simple to manage each piece individually. It should be. It's not. And unfortunately, I don't have the, my expertise is not in the existing system to be able to articulate exactly where the issues are within the existing system.
Is it on the expenditure report? I mean, how is it, how is it tracked on the expenditure report?
The
Because,
expenditure report right now is by line item as they come out, but it again comes out in raw data and so our staff has to translate that into adding the account numbers, adding the titles behind the account numbers, and then giving it in a way that our section heads can then understand. So there's not just a rows of numbers.
you know, we used to get the expenditure report before. Can we get that?
Yeah. As soon as I can get one.
Yeah.
Like a
okay.
solid one, I can get that to you.
Right.
I do recall that, yeah.
Because I think that might be able to show some of these figures. It may not be, you know, exactly accurate because of the system maybe, but I think, you know, at least we would have something to go by on what's been expenditure in the salaries and wages and the different expenditures or expenses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as I get my hands on a solid expenditure report.
Okay.
They look completely different. Yeah, how they used to print out from fresh from the previous system, they're completely different looking now.
Understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so total calls for the calendar, we'll move back to page 9. Total calls for the calendar year, 60 in July, 416, that's 60 fires. 1,900 EMS calls, 680 kind of miscellaneous and others, 2,600 calls. 2025 closed out at 31,162 calls. Right now, we're on track for 2026 to be at 31,608 calls. So you look just in the 5-year gap, we've gone up about 3,000 calls, 4,000 calls. It represents a 10% increase over just 5 years alone. Program measures are turnout times. Again, that still exceeds kind of where we're at. Some of that is this, and as we re-pull through the report, these are the ones we want to really deep dive on and say how much is this geography, how much of this is response, and where can we make those improvements. Average response times and response times for fire and EMS calls, those numbers are kind of going down, which is good, but they're still short of our goal where we want to be. Wildland calls, 11 calls in July, 72 years to date. Acres burned in July was 790. July was a big brush fire year. We had a fire in Kawaiʻi Village that resulted in the evacuation of the Kawaiʻi Village community down there. We also had a fire up here on DKI that it's relatively smaller. Nobody lives out there, but that was a really, really stubborn fire. Structure fires, 5 fires in the month of July, and that's about, you know, we average anywhere from about 5 to 10 structures a month. Property and contents lost, $402,000 lost, 2.8 million saved. Nothing saved, but 2.3 saved so far this year. 44 other fires, contents and property and contents lost and saved there.
And Chief, you know that I know we discussed this before in the program measures on the average turnout time for fire and EMS, but can you refresh us or in my memory on why when is the time calculated from the time the call came in to the time the unit is dispatched?
Correct. So that is the time. So once a call does get dropped, basically from when it gets dropped to where it should be to the units leave the station. So the recommendation is by standards is about 1:20. And then 90th percentile gets us about, you know, looks like we've been averaging 2 minutes. So we've been averaging about 60 seconds longer than sort of our average. Now, but these numbers, again, the issue with some of these numbers is that it doesn't account for, it assumes that every response to the station is in quarters, where every state, you know, like they're in district, in the building when this call comes off, and that's not always the case. So there are other times when they're on the road, if they're checking hydrants, if they're doing maintenance, if they're doing something else, that they're going to respond as soon as the call comes in. There's times where there's a gap. If they are finishing up an oil change, if they are finishing up, that response gets a little bit delayed. That gets captured in. For the ambulance, when they're on multiple calls and they're responding from the road, those response times are 1 second, if that, And so the numbers still aren't, they paint an average, but they still don't accurately really reflect how we get out of the station. But right now we're trying to identify the best metric we can.
Okay, so it's not as when the dispatcher dispatches the unit, it's when the unit says we're responding.
From the dispatch to the unit responding, yeah.
Or to the unit saying we're responding. I
Yes.
see.
And, if it's 2 a.m, get up, get dressed, get down the stairs, get into the ambulance and go, or get into the engine and go.
So, I mean, I know this is a national standard,
Yes.
right? And that 80 seconds or whatever. So what does all the other departments nationwide do? I mean, everybody has the same problems probably.
Generally.
Is the national standard too low or?
Well, that's a good question. I would have to probably refer to some of the, conversations with, say, the Western Fire Chiefs or some of the other nations.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the other departments around the country. I think it doesn't, I mean, smaller departments, smaller geography, smaller companies. I think volunteer companies do play a role in this, role in this, where some of those standards are based on getting volunteer companies from wherever to get to the station where they may go by POV or they may respond.
I mean, if you compare apples to apples, like us with maybe Seattle or Phoenix or whatever, I mean, even that is they're way bigger than us. Or even Oahu. How does Oahu fare in this category?
That's a good question. I actually don't have access. I mean, I can.
Yeah, might be good to try and check and see. Maybe if you compare the department, I understand if you have a small volunteer department and you're just sitting around, as soon as you dispatch, you're gonna leave and you can do it within 80 seconds. But in big departments, I mean, I've worked on a line too. I know you gotta get ready and put in uniform or whatever. And so, it would be interesting to see. I know we talked about this before, but
we have it. There's been a bunch, like we floated a number of ideas. We floated status boards up on the wall on TV that kind of these messages that shows response times and let some of natural firefighter competitiveness.
We had this conversation long when I was running on the ambulance. I mean, they used to say, okay, as soon as you get the alarm, go and say, okay, we're responding, and then get ready.
But then that's what we don't want, right? We don't. That'll make those response times very short, but that doesn't reflect.
I know. So something that we should look into. I
will say
make it look better.
There is whether the effectiveness of this program measure on the surface, it seems like getting out of the station quickly is really the measure of success, right? But really, there is a push. If you look at measuring the times at which definitive action is taken. So when does CPR start? So rather than looking at when do we get out of the station, when do we actually put water on the fire? When do we actually start compressions, right? So how long does it actually take? Not just getting in and around because of geography and lights and maybe somebody was, not there. We got to try to get everybody together. But how long? When are we actually providing definitive care and minimizing the emergency? And those are some of the metrics that I'm really trying to look at.
Exactly, and you know what I mean. But if something negative happens, I mean, you got an attorney. Not saying anything bad about attorneys, but you get an attorney and say, you know what, look how long you guys taking to get to scene. So just to get out of the station, then that maybe contributed to this situation or whatever. So, I mean, I'm just trying to, look at the big picture and trying to maybe protect ourselves from, any type of future liability or stuff like that. I mean, just looking at that, I mean, the percentage wise being so low, that's why maybe I think if you look at other departments and they're low too, then maybe something is not right in the national standard.
There's certainly there's a set of national standards that don't quite apply to Hawaii. There's some variance there.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Move on to section 10. This is the first time you'll notice this budget is broken out. Again, as with part of this fiscal year, we may be able to really clearly identify special ops budget separately from the operations budget. So these numbers are new. These numbers are in early initial reporting. S&W we weren't able to break it out. So that S&W that was reported earlier is not specific to each section. It's just kind of an overall earnings. And that's quite likely why that's unavailable, is because that total number that was reported as gross earnings, we haven't had the ability to kind of break it out by section. So there's your OCE spending is ongoing. Equipment is nothing yet. There's only a $10,000 equipment budget there that hasn't been spent yet. Helicopter, right now, the wages are unavailable. OCE is at 95,000, 30% expended. We're early in the year, so a lot of these numbers are low, but rescue, hazmat, again, S&W is all separated now. So we'll know how much overtime for our rescue specialists, how much overtime for our hazmat specialists, how much work is going to be done. And it gives us a better track of those specific sections so we can plan for extended incidents and responses.
Chief, sorry to interrupt again, Commissioner Kuste. I just want to understand the budgeting process a little more because I'm still just, I'm baffled that we're at the end of August and we still don't have numbers for July.
Yes.
So, looking at these year-to-date numbers that you have from July, it's how much do you even trust the numbers that are in there? And I'm curious as to who does the data entry and the reports? Is that the department heads individually doing their own data entry? Is who does the data entry and reports fall to?
So the way the fire department operates as far as the fiscal section is that all of the fiscal reporting comes from finance. It comes to our accountants, our accountant 4, our accountant 3. That staff then does what they can to sort of break those information up and then submit it to each of the section heads. So the section heads, and that's why we meet, that's why having those monthly budget meetings is such a priority, is that every month, based on the numbers provided through finance, through fiscal, and fiscal's ability to then separate it and then provide it to each section head. So EMS, this is your budget. This is how much you've spent. Salary and wages, OCE and equipment. Special ops, this is what you've spent. Prevention, EMS, operations, all of the different sections, prevention, training, and on and on. And so that comes from those raw numbers from finance then get translated to something usable and trackable to our section heads.
So finance does all the data entry.
Finance does, they're the finance department. Ultimately, they're the sort of repository of every cut check, every paid invoice. Now we track what's paid, right? But again, the systems that we used to track in the past are off the table. There's all new systems as far as electronic systems, project tracking systems, grant reporting systems, and all of that stuff is attached to Connect. And so if you were to ask the question of how confident am I would say I'm about 50-50. And now that's based on my accountant. She's probably a little bit, so based on my accountant's confidence in the numbers. Like we mentioned, over the last few months, there was even double reporting from finance. So we were getting reports where our numbers were way skewed. We had issues with, if you recall, the hazard pay that threw off our numbers for months, threw off our S&W numbers for months. And again, we're subject to what comes out of finance. Now, they do an amazing job to manage nearly $1 billion worth of budget and expenditures. We're one of the largest departments. We're not the largest department, but we're part of that. And so we advocate really strongly for our issues. And we've seen improvements over the last year. From February, March, April through even today, these numbers are getting better. They're still not 100% accurate. I wish I had a date to say this is when they're going to be perfect. And that without that, we do the best we can to sort of manage and track along the way. We reported in July, we reported for the end of June, our OC and equipment was almost nearly exactly 100% expended, which was perfect. Our S&W numbers were at 95% overspent for the year. So despite the challenges, I think our fiscal section and our section heads are doing the absolute best they can, kind of in the dark, kind of feeling their way around, as everybody in the entire county transitions to this new system. It's certainly not been easy. And in addition to, some of the stuff we'll talk about later with the different grants, the FMAGs and disaster recovery funds and FEMA funds and managing all of these things and all these repairs and projects associated with that just compounds the challenge. If the system was perfect, no problem. System is not. And so we're really, really working to shape it into what we need. Our fiscal section developed even our 80-page is grown to 80 pages, but a payroll manual on how to do timesheets, on how to fill for employees, how to put in your overtime, how to schedule a vacation, how to schedule your time and attendance. We've built systems where it pulls directly off our roster. So when the company officer fills the roster for the day, finance system will pull directly off that and populate the timesheet. So it's exact 1-to-1. So if you're on the ambulance, you get paid on the ambulance. If you're on the brush truck, you get paid on the brush truck. If you're on the engine, you get paid on, and all of those systems as a way to make sure that our employees get paid correctly and that we can track as much money as possible going through. I only sit in the fire commission. I have not sat in the other commissions or the other departments, but at our cabinet meetings, when we talk with other department heads around the county, we are all experiencing very similar struggles. On our finance department, our fiscal department, I'm super proud of the work they've done to try to get through these challenges. Yeah, I can't wait to get numbers that we are 100% confident in. Program budget objectives for special operations, aircraft operational uptime greater than 90%, 98% in July. They were working really hard this month. We did have maintenance on Chopper 1 and Chopper 2 this month. That'll maybe adjust those numbers a little bit for next month, but still overall, we're clearly meeting our goal of 90%, which is the goal of a successful aviation program. Review and update our SOGs within cycle. That's always, again, very challenging. We have not done an annual HAZTEC course yet this year. Minimum proficiency training hours with rescue hazmat and aerial operations. Again, we're trying to pull those numbers out, separate those numbers from incumbent training versus renew certification recruit level training, so we can kind of clear those up. We're changing how some of the rescue training profiles, and trying to break down specific disciplines and trying to track those as well, so we can get really more comprehensive data there to really highlight what we're doing. You'll see the highlights of Chopper 1 and 2. A hiker that was extricated with Chopper 1 out in Volcano, brush fire within District 21 and Company 7. Chopper 1 and Chopper 2 responded to the brush fire in Waikoloa at the village. Responded to the brush fire near Kauai High Village in Hapuna Prince. Numerous bucket drops, multiple days. And Chopper 1 assisted with 2 parties from the volcano with extrication, trying to get people from Volcano National Park. There's a couple pictures there are 2 brush fires. The choppers were incredible on stopping some of these fires. So some of the precision from the pilots that we have and the director of operations currently for the system, we are very, 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 very grateful. I'm very fortunate to have really, really high quality, very experienced pilots. The work they're able to do, even in conjunction with the National Guard assets that we bring in for these large fires, is tremendous, and they really make a difference to the community. Ocean safety operations budget right now, again, not able to separate it from those larger numbers. OCE, we're at 57% of our OCE, and that's good. Equipment is at nothing yet. Junior lifeguard was nearly 100% expended. We did have our junior lifeguard county championship round qualifier, who then went to the state. I think we finished third at junior lifeguard. Third is the third winner, if you want. Next year we'll come back with first. We were able to get first place 2 years ago. That trophy is amazing. That's an amazing program. What's that?
Who was first?
Kauai
again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Honolulu by a landslide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then Kauai was second.
Yes.
So we beat Maui. So that's
At least you beat Maui.
We beat Maui. But again, that's an incredible program. That's a community program that's focused on our kids, focused on the youth. It's a feeder into the fire department, it's a feeder into ocean safety, and it makes better swimmers and people safer at the beach. That's an incredible program we're happy to support. Beach visitors in July, 502,000. That number is going to keep cranking up into the millions and millions and millions of people throughout the year. 319 preventative actions.
I just wanted to relate into that. Commend you guys. I mean, I know, Chief Todd and you now, but the increase in the budget appropriation it's immensely increased. I mean, since I was there, equipment was $2,000. Now it's 265,000.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the junior lifeguard program was like $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah.
So I really commend that we really putting more into the ocean safety division. But
Absolutely. I mean, Chief Todd in general, over his 4-year tenure as fire chief, increased our budget by about $30 million overall. And since I've been sort of at the helm, we've gone up about 12 or so. So trying to continue that forward progress and that momentum as much as we possibly can. But yeah, that equipment, I mean, how do you replace a tower with $2,000? You don't, right?
Yeah, we always had to, well, Billy Kinoy was a big supporter of ocean safety. So that's
Right.
how I got all these things. I mean, that's how we started the rescue watercraft program
Mhm.
and all the towers.
Right.
He did it really. I mean,
Now we're on basically a tower replacement plan where we identify at least once a year, appropriate money towards a tower to replace aging towers. If we otherwise, and even at one a year, it still would take 17 years to get through each and every single tower. But with the budget line item here, we maintain that we can keep replacing and replacing and replacing.
yeah, Brad knows because he was there when I worked on all the towers.
Who's that? Oh,
Brad, your battalion.
I am aware. I am aware. Rescue watercraft operator program update. The training program is complete. Selection and assignment of new rescue watercraft operators are being processed. This is being held up by a labor relations issue with a grievance, but that as soon as that's resolved, we'll be able to hopefully get those guys out to the beaches. EMS service branch appropriation at 21 million right now. Again, S&W is not pulled out of the hole. Well, CE has 176,000 and equipment budget is at 4,000. So as part of the equipment budget, that's ambulances. We intend to go out to 4 ambulances again this year. It's part of our ambulance replacement plan. That will continue. That's all allocated. And then those are going out to bid. Just like our engines and our ambulances and our vehicles, and all of those bids are getting processed through county procurement as we speak, and that'll move out. Ross grade for July, 4.5%. Again, for the new commissioners, that's a return of spontaneous circulation. Somebody with cardiac arrest in the field, we show up, they make it, they walk out of the hospital at the end of their stay. And that's a really, really effective measure. That's a really effective measure of success for a department. Call volume, again, EMS remains the bulk of what we do as a fire department. ALS transport at 1,100, 651 BLS transports. 10% vacancy, paramedic vacancy rate. That number is higher. We maintain 6 vacancies. Technically, we maintain about 9. There are 3 FMS 1s that are currently filling in long-term temporary vacancies. So that's the vacancy rate there in July. We did have, and so that we do have a class that just graduated with 4 people. That should hopefully fill that number up. We also just started a new paramedic class with 7 more. So we hope that if we can graduate all 7 in addition to the 4, we really should see those numbers drop and really get back to a full staff on the ambulance, which would be pretty rare, pretty amazing. Maintain a fleet of greater than 8 paramedics. We have 9 in July, and that's our goal. So again, our fleet replacement plan on the medic side has been really, really successful. We'd like to welcome Dr. Eddie Rulin, who's our medical director, part-time medical director beginning July 1st. So with the passing of Dr. Fitz, we lost a 20-year advocate of Hawaii Fire Department's EMS program. We were able to reach out to a physician, Dr. Jones, to fill that gap. And now bringing on the new doc is going to help support him as well as support that rural healthcare initiative grant and some of those alternative transport grants that we're looking at that we should start implementing soon. As I mentioned, the fall 2025 paramedic class completed their final examinations, participated at KCC's graduation ceremony on July 2nd. They're completing their state and national requirements. They should be licensed. They should be out on the road soon. Benchmarking EKGs, part of our EKG replacement project. Each EKG, this is the machine that rides on the ambulance that will determine your heart rate, can provide shock if needed, and defibrillate, can do a number of things. It's about $60,000 a piece. So times 20, the numbers are pretty high. So that's always a large either lease or purchase program that's carved out of that budget. EMS branch personnel attended Honolulu Emergency Services Department's 3rd annual Mass Casualty Conference in Honolulu. Again, just that networking opportunity to see how other communities and other agencies operate in the field is always super helpful. We also went through they also met with the EMS, the 54th recruit class to discuss their EMS operations and initiatives as they transition into firefighter. This is our class that just graduated. 15 individuals graduated, went on the road. There's some requirements before they can be assigned to the ambulance. This helps get them ready for those assignments, get them on the road and running. And then the branch meets, the EMS branch meets weekly to go over a number of issues. Shopify store supply orders data for the month of July, 61 orders, about $36,000 worth of material, worth of stuff from the EMS warehouse. Training services branch, unavailable on the S&W. OCE is at 42,000 right now. Equipment is at nothing, again, as we are just getting through procurement. Program budget objectives, they ensure all recruits graduate with minimum certifications, 15 for firefighter 1 and 2, 15 personnel with their wildland certs, and 15 personnel completed driver training. Those are the graduates that came out. 35 professional development was 35 personnel. And as far as incident command, structural firefighting, and wildland firefighting, we didn't have a lot of training opportunities in July. We were working. I think a couple of brush fires, we got the real thing, but we have not. So we weren't able to. And the recruits were finishing up their recruit class. And wildland firefighting training, you'll see that it's listed there as pending funding. Again, that's us trying to identify. We're really trying to standardize our wildland approach, align with National Wildfire Coordinating Group standards, and then try to find some funding to get all of our recruit personnel as well as our line personnel really qualified up to those standards. You'll notice the program highlights 35 people attended a tactical chemistry class. Again, that's for incumbent training on our hazmat section. These were not new people. These are all existing techs and incumbent fire hazardous materials specialists. This is the second time we've offered this class, and we try to continue to do it every year. The class of the 54th recruit class, there was our HF-15 Hawaii Fire Department recruits, 3 from state airports, and they all went out to the different airports, and our stations all got assigned. I had the honor of speaking to the group. Not sure if any commissioners attended that ceremony, but if you ever get the opportunity to sit through a recruit graduation ceremony, it's pretty special. It's really grounding. It's really a great opportunity to kind of remind you where we all kind of came from. That we all were recruits, like all of us in the uniform, we're all recruits at one point. And to really see that excitement, that like eagerness to get going, that support from the family is really, really important. That's a really special moment for them and for us. Mastering Fireground Command, Calm the Chaos. We were able to adopt that textbook into that curriculum, into our core library, which now makes it eligible for testing. So as we start testing for internal recruitments for fire captain, fire equipment operators, battalion chief positions, we'll be able to draw upon a lot of that curriculum as to inform some of that, and then expect that as we move towards the SOG development that aligns with those concepts. Volunteer service, sorry, we are on page 14. I keep forgetting to announce the page number. Volunteer services section, S&W, again, unavailable. On OCE is at 206,000. That's got to be a typo. I apologize. Oh, no, that's year to date. That looks like a calendar year versus fiscal year. I'll adjust that. Page 14. Okay. VFA match this year is 90,000. No budget spent yet for equipment, and the federal side at 90,000 will come in from the federal government that we haven't. Again, those projects are going out to bid. Looks like we were able to add 5 more volunteers in July, so a total of 129. That number has been creeping up daily, month by month, which is great. Within the volunteer section, it's about compliance of online training of our volunteers, 0% in July. Now, again, this is another one where we're measuring online training compliance with volunteers who may or may not have access to online anything. Some volunteers don't have smartphones, some volunteers don't have computers, some volunteers don't have electricity. And so this is a stat where we can really do better. We've been trying to, identify those who aren't able to meet that online component as a way to, as part of their monthly training with the volunteer training captains, to kind of go over some of those. Many of our volunteers would rather train on hoses, trucks, driving, not so much online computer training. And so we do find some struggles there. I think we may need to adjust our goal a little bit to try to be to accurately reflect what's possible. Maintain 1 spare qualified driver per volunteer station. 1 driver was added in July. Again, that's my goal, is to bring those drivers up as much as we can. Fire prevention, occupancy inspections were at 125 in July. Those numbers are climbing. I'm very happy to see that. Public education events, 5. Plans reviewed, 49. Fire investigations, 1. Complaints investigated, 1. And the average plan review time in days remains under 9.9. And so that is under our 14-day goal. So I'm really happy. Every time I see that number get under 14 days, I know that our prevention office is making sure that we're not impacting the building community, the construction community, while keeping the public safe. We're definitely exceeding our public education minimum requirements. That CFIT designation for 2 personnel, that's a national sort of standard for fire investigators. We'll keep improving that as we go. Fire inspections of high hazards, 2 this month. EPR property list input at 60 updates a month, 34. We had some changes to that section, so I see those numbers should dip a little bit and then hopefully come back as we get back to being fully staffed. Auxiliary services, we'll go straight to monthly
Chief.
orders.
Sorry, Chief.
Yes.
On this, fire inspection of high hazards, you said year-to-date 51? Oh, that's from calendar year.
That's calendar year.
Oh, I see. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
and you know what? I think we need to do a better job of like, I mean, I for me personally, indicating on these charts which one is fiscal, which year, when is calendar, and I think there's some distinction between the two.
Right,
And
right.
it can be a little misleading to the public and to the
Yeah.
commission if we're not clearly identifying what is calendar, what is fiscal.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Auxiliaries, and obviously those ones, like those high hazards, they take longer, right? These are hotels versus a mom and pop shop, you know, that's a couple square feet. Auxiliary services, monthly order total, $30,000 across 45 stations, 45 orders, 78 orders in July, gross product, about the equivalent of $40,000 worth of product sold. Number of stock items is a little bit lower than the variance, and that's something I'll take a look at there. Program budget objectives, not quite, no real data yet. 88% of all of our items are in stock though for all the variants, and that's good. Average fulfillment within 10 working days or less, we're at 3.7 days, and that is with some in between, not 100% staffing. So our goal is 10 days or less. When you are at the station and you need oil or you need soap or you need a sponge or some paper, should not take, we want to make sure that you're getting your stuff within less than 10 days. Getting it less than 4 days is even better. And that just shows how hard, and that delivery cycle and that constant push, again, that's all employee experience and making sure our guys feel heard and we get them what they need. We'll skip to the vehicle maintenance section. Number of repairs in July, 243. So this is reported via fiscal year. Service calls at 47, contracted worker tows at 14. No inspections. We usually close out our DOT inspections, safety checks, and this like at the end of the calendar, at the end of the fiscal. So a lot of that was done in June. Log 100% of vehicle work orders into EPR fireworks. We're finding that some of the initial goals and strategies to be able to report on work done on the system is not going to quite work within the limitations of fireworks, which is our existing system. So I know the maintenance section is actively pursuing other technologies to see what is a better reporting system. They do track that they're just not getting into fireworks as appropriately. Emergency communications, program measures, 2,700 911 calls, average duration of 202 seconds. Percent answered less than 10 seconds is almost 87%. So that's really, really good. Non-emergency calls, they have 2,500. So total calls into our 3 dispatchers during a shift, 5,234 calls a month, which is significant. EMD compliance greater than 70% or higher. Now I want to highlight this one. Our goal was 70%. We are reaching 91%. If you've been sort of tracking this along with me over the last 6 months, we've seen that number go up and up and up. This number represents the compliance with the algorithm to an accredited body that's audited, and then we're meeting a standard. The closer we get to greater than 70%, 80%, 90% compliance, the closer we get to a true BLS dispatch system, where we can differentiate ALS versus BLS in a reliable method that does not overexpose the county, and we can dispatch BLS unit to a BLS call and keep those ALS units in reserve. You'll note our EMS call volume goes up and up and up. And while we cannot control volume, we can try to manage workload. And so through this work that's being done in communications, we can evaluate, we can try to adjust the workload, send the BLS call to the BLS call, send the BLS unit to a BLS call, and keep the ALS. And even if we can take 1 or 2 or 3 calls off of some of our busiest ALS units, we reduce their workload by 10, 15%. That's meaningful through the course of a 24-hour shift. So, I want to continue to highlight that section and in all the work done within communications. Average time to process 911 calls less than 180 seconds. We're at 202. And again, this is everything, right? And so this includes the uncooperative callers, the callers that call and hang up and call and hang up. This includes like a lot of different factors that kind of look, why are we greater than our average? Why are we not meeting our goals? And again, sometimes the reporting doesn't accurately reflect the goal. there's a lot of factors. And so as we sort of drill into some of these numbers, we get better statistics, better meaningful statistics. If you were to separate all of the people who the language barriers say, or again, uncooperative who refuse to provide information, that definitely adds some seconds to each call as they're trying to process it. And so I want to get a little better in those numbers. Time from call to dispatch, 175 seconds. Again, we're trying to get less than 60 seconds. That's the same thing. That number does not reflect all of the challenges that the dispatcher sometimes has to go through to get to the point where they can identify what's happening and who to send. So it's kind of misleading. Snapshots and stories, battalion one.
Commissioner Hanano. Hey,
Yes.
Chief, when you look at salary and wages and your goal is 13%,
Yep.
how come they came up with 13%?
So 13% reflects, there's 3 pay periods in July. The way the county system works, there's only 1 pay period. We get, typically it's 2 every month. So there's only 1 pay period in the month of June. The month of July has 3, the 1st, the 15th, and the 30th. So that represents 3 out of, so typically there's 24 in a year, but 3 out of the 24 represents the 13. So rather than, and that's why it's a little bit higher.
That's why it's 5% more than,
Yes.
Should be 8%.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
okay,
But
yeah,
because
sorry.
and so that's why, so June's goal is only, I believe it's 4%, because that's
One pay
represents
period.
1 pay period in the month of June,
Oh,
3 represented in July.
Okay, so every month it'll change depending on, certain months got 3 pay
Well,
periods.
yeah, the only outliers generally are June and July. And then once we get into August, September, October, those numbers all level out, and and then it should be, then it represents, 8%, which is, a 12th of the year.
Okay.
That's why July is 5% higher.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, easy. That was an easy question. That's an easy one. We'll move to page 17. We're on snapshots and stories. Battalion 1, there was a rescue near Lake Waiau, a cardiac arrest incident. And if you look on Battalion 2, there was a brush fire, 200 acres. That was the same day, just minutes apart. So while our rescue company and our helicopter resources are responding to Lake Waiau for cardiac arrest, at the same time, a brush fire lit up, 2 brush fires off Highway 190, multiple ignitions, and our helicopter resources and our response agents are responding to that as well. So 2 major incidents. Now, rescue chopper, medical helicopter going to the medical call, rescue chopper going to the brush fire. Normally, had not for the medical call, they would have had both. The rescue chopper would have been, the medical helicopter would have been there right away to start suppression work. There's a delay. It's just one of those things where we don't control what happens. Our job is to be ready and be prepared and have the systems in place to manage each one as they come in. And we can only, and so they did an amazing job. Out of those 2 brush fires, the first one was put out super fast. The second one was able to get managed. The patient, unfortunately, I don't believe he survived, but was able to get down, get him off the mountain, get him to definitive care. Yeah, that was a strange one.
I don't think that person made it.
I believe not, but I can't report specifically on the patient information. But that's a challenging place. That's a challenging place to do EMS up by the lake. On the 20th, there was another fatality on the highway. There was a traffic fatality. On the 30th, there was another traffic fatality. Unfortunately, we see these from, we've been seeing a lot of these this year. Garage Battalion 2, there was a fire. Ulu Place and Company 7 responded to a garage fire, a solar battery garage fire. So we're starting to track. There's a lot of media attention on lithium-ion batteries, solar chargers, solar batteries, and the hazards associated with those. We are starting to see those incidents sort of creep up. We're trying to track them individually so we can kind of keep some data on where we see them. But it's certainly got the attention of the State Fire Council, got the attention of the Hawaii Fire Chiefs Association, and we all sort of work through that. That 25th of July is that brush fire Kauai Road. Again, that resulted in an evacuation of a village. Evacuations are complex, multi-county, multi-department operations. It's police, fire, public works, civil defense, all at work to try to protect that community and when fires running at them. So I'm really, really happy there was no loss of life. There was no structural damage associated with that fire. It did take some time. We were there for some days, but we were able to kind of keep everything contained. Chopper 1 and Chopper 2 training, again, some changes to Chopper 1 over the last 6 months, 8 months have resulted in some make some adjustments to how we operate. So you're seeing that continued Chopper 1 training. Chopper 2 is our rescue training, and we're just finishing up going around the island and doing Chopper 2 orientation with every operation company across the island. Page 18, fire prevention highlights. Captain Gu attended the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority board meeting. And again, so Captain Gu is sort of taking the lead within our prevention team as our equivalent to the fire management officer who manages large landowner, wildfire mitigation efforts, kind of large landowner projects. And in parcel with that is managing state lands with the Mauna Kea Authority. So that's where our prevention department is able to interact with the other agencies on some of these large landowner and large wildland mitigation efforts. BC Henderson attention to the DOT statewide law enforcement traffic safety training. A lot of work that was done there about how, you know, what happens at the scene of an MVA, considering the rate of fatalities, unfortunately, on our island. This is going to be something that's going to be important. And let's see, if you look below, so fire investigations, the UAS program, again, with that map that you see, that's the map that's produced. This was Kauai Village. This is about 600-acre fire. This is what the drone program is able to do. So Captain Gu's work with the drone as a pilot drone, well, he's a pilot and it's a pilot program, to really kind of exercise this in the operations sphere. So our drone activity happens in the prevention world as well as happens in the response world. So there's two kind of separates. He overlaps both, and what you're seeing here is a response piece. That mapping gives us a real-time accurate map that you can, with your phone, you could have access to. We're able to identify hotspots, identify heat areas that are hotter than others to really target effective suppression. Some of the stuff, and being able to watch in real time from the EOC or give our commanders these real-time maps or give our battalion chiefs these real-time information has made a huge difference. That's something that I'm really going to look forward to expanding in the future is really developing some dedicated positions for that program.
Are we using the drones for like other incidents, rescue?
We are. Again, our pilot program is just a pilot program based on a kind of limited capacity of one individual. We have a few other people that have got out and got their drone licenses, but we have, as a matter of fact, done search and rescue, searches in Puna area and Upper Puna, in Ka'u over the last year or so. Getting out there, getting a visual before the choppers can get there is going to make a difference. As far as plans, we want to put them on the Operations BC vehicles. We want to be able to, they have photo kites where it's even as simple as attached. You don't even have to operate it. You can launch it from the vehicle. It maintains a 360 of the area and gives you that aerial, that view of, say, smoke sighted, or, you know, we're not sure. We see a column of smoke in the forest. We don't know where it is. Is it a car? Is it a house? Is it a brush fire starting? And so even just launching it from the vehicle itself gives us that view there. What the drones that do this work are much larger, much bigger drones. We also have a few that can deploy a Peterson buoy, deploy or communicate to somebody, identify somebody, give instructions to sit tight, help is coming, all of those things. So yeah, we are starting to really expand what we can do. Unfortunately, we don't have any dedicated positions yet for that. So what we're doing is on top of everything else, right? So that's something I explore with the cabinet and the mayor's office as we start building budget for future years. Ocean safety highlights. The heat map stays the same. Kahalu and Hilo kind of remain the two busiest spots. New lifeguard tower, Lele Iwi, new tower was installed. This is a lot of time, energy, effort to get to that point, but having a brand new tower installed on one of the busiest areas of the island, according to the heat map, is a very good step in the right direction. As we mentioned, the junior lifeguard, that photo is, again, that's such an excellent program. Really engages our youth, really engages the kids on this island as a way to teach ocean safety, teach preparedness, how to help people, and really hopefully funnel them towards fire department, ocean safety, or wherever else they go after that. Shirley Dorrego, from their foundation has been an avid supporter of ocean safety for years and years and years. We are honored to have her as a supporter, as a nonprofit, support this organization, support the efforts, support flying these kids up to Honolulu, support hotel rooms, food, meals to get them to the state championship. We have such, you know, the fire department is so fortunate to have so many generous members of our community who are willing to give time. And Ms. Dorrego is something that was built out of tragedy. to turn tragedy into victory, and turn tragedy into something meaningful, to watch that journey and to share that journey with all of our youth is incredible. Volunteer training, exposure protection exterior. They did some structural firefighting training, exterior exposure protection and exterior work. Monthly company training was happened at the following, and then that's 5 Bravo, 10 Delta, 11 Alpha, 11 Charlie, 11 Delta. More training. The volunteers are always busy, as well as all the training that they do, as well as all of the actual responses that they go on. Looks like this is on page 21, Kohala Ranch. So suppression of capabilities, attack package review, water supply, pump, hose, and nozzle and equipment training, driver training, wildland scenario communications, pumps, wet drills, conducted monthly and station apparatus maintenance. We do have new training captains. For those of you who have been on the commission for a while, you'll notice there is somewhat of a revolving door in our volunteer training section. We currently have 2 full captains. It is fully staffed, and those people they are really good. We're really fortunate to have the captains we do. We'll move over to page 22. I'll kind of summarize technical services highlights. Pulse Point is kind of the highlight here. So if any of this is something that got some community support, some volunteer support, and some push for some questions from County Council about reinstating Pulse Point. Pulse Point is an electronic delivery system. We're on page 22 if I skip too fast. We were able to identify Pulse Point is an app essentially that identifies cardiac arrest and emergency calls in the neighborhood. It's a program you can sign up for based on your level of training, your level of care. If there's an emergency in your region, you can go provide help. It's initially based to get CPR resources to the community when needed. Now, this was funded it went through many iterations to finally get to the point where we have been able to secure funding again this year. It was turned off last year. We was able to turn it back on this year. And we'll be able to get it out to the department, out to the community. And again, this is focused on cardiac arrest survival in the field. We've noticed the hands-only CPR, placement of AEDs around the community in numbers of places to really improve the cardiac arrest survival rates. And that's another initiative there. Safety program, or respiratory protection program. We just did receive another new mobile breathing air compressor. That was $297,000. But what that is a mobile air compressor. This will be located in Pahala Fire Station. It's paid through for CBDG funding, and this will be a resource for the Ka'u and Upper Puna region. It's also trailerable. That can, if we do have large incidents in the area, we can Ocean View, for example, we'll be able to trailer that down there. It minimizes downtime after you guys use their bottles. They don't have to wait to get it all the way to Hilo and wait to turn it around, or all the way to Kona and get it filled and turned around. We're steadily, with the changes to the budget, with changes to the light items, we're steadily trying to put more and more compressors out in the field, mobile compressors and then fixed unit compressors where we can, where the electricity of the facility can support that. NFPA ground ladder testing. Again, this is a new initiative to maintain testing our ground ladders. Just like we test our hoses annually, now we'll be testing our ladders also. Ladder safety training. This was a Department of Human Resources Health and Safety Initiative, identifying a gap that our firefighters did not have step ladder training because we train on emergency ground ladders. And so they identified a gap. We're happy to kind of meet that gap. And so we initiated a ladder safety training program. Really important. Our cancer screening initiative is still sitting with the Board of Ethics, as well as trying to find split funding and match funding to fund some cancer screenings that are being performed by the UH Cancer Center and Abbott Diagnostics. So that's sitting with the Board of Ethics right now. We did do an internal survey to the department to identify who would be willing to pay. If it was free, would you do it? If you had to pay, would you do it? And something in between. And the results were very clear. 96% were very likely to participate in a cancer screening initiative if it was zero cost to the department. So if we're going to encourage this, we're trying to bring that cost as low as we possibly can. And so that's why we're working with Kaiser and HMSA with inclusive of the county's Board of Ethics to make sure that we can sort of find a way that they can help pay for that. NFPA 1582 medical exam donations. I met with the CEO of the company, 1582, donating 150 medical exams. These will be thorough exams to include audiology, cancer screening, stress testing, lab work, completely confidential, completely private, does not get reported to the administration, but it's a way to hopefully catch things early and let people know what's going on and give them the best thing. This was a significant $140,000 donation. It was approved by County Council just a few months ago, and I'm really excited. And hopefully this becomes the kind of the kickstart we need to get to a really more robust 1582 AME system and medical physical system with our profession. Fit to Thrive is another one. We're able to reach into the county training fund to bring back the Fit to Thrive program. This is a health firefighter fitness initiative that's funded through the International Association of Firefighters. This will be bringing about 25 of their cadre of instructors here to train about 25 of our instructors to then take that knowledge and then go back out again as we focus on health and wellness of our firefighters. Cancer screenings, medical exams, and even a fitness program is things that really we've done versions of them over the course of my 20-year career. But this is the first time that I can recall a really focused, really heavy approach to try to get all of these things going back and to really, and not just be a one-off program that when there's money, we do it, and then the money goes away and it goes away, but really build it into the culture of the department. If you've been anywhere near YouTube, you probably have seen a number of stations working out, and really the focus on firefighter fitness and health is really is something I'm really happy to see, and even to see it out there to the community, that the community understands that our job is physical, and they see our people working healthy, maintaining fitness, staying healthy. It gives that sense of security, that sense of safety to the community. So these are all really, really important initiatives. What you see, we'll move to incident accident reports. We had 4 of them, mostly slip and falls, some neck, back, and knee and hand injuries. And then 1 person feeling faint during that exercising. It wasn't me, I promise. We are, and so our safety office does track every incident and accident that comes in. We look for trends, we look for patterns, we look for system measures and mitigations that we can do. But we track every incident that comes through. Moving on to page 24, this is the last page, the Haveo Award. Every other month, I have the distinct honor of presenting one of our firefighters to the County Council for recognition. This year's award went to Lahaina Olsen Karuta. He has been instrumental in the CISM program. In the weeks after Chief Todd passed, it was the Christmas holidays. He was instrumental in bringing a Christmas party to the East Hawaii, to kind of, in a time when everybody was kind of reeling from loss, bring everybody together, to really focus on family, focus on the holidays, and focus on kind of the brotherhood of the fire department and sisterhood. Is long overdue. Was very happy to recognize Lahaina for that award. And then through the years photo, what you see there is Battalion Chief and Captain Chief Ayashida, Captain Okinaka, both retired happily. On a 9/11 run that September 11th is coming right around the corner. This was a few years ago. It's important to recognize, for me, this one, we're on an island physically and literally, but the fire service has 175 years of tradition, and we are connected to the fire service around this country. We are part of the American Fire Service, and this connections to 9/11, connections to the other the tragedies that have happened to different fire departments. It really connects us as a member of the fire service industry. I will close with that. That is the end of my report. Thank you very much.
The page 17 to 19, I think you repeated that pages on the bottom. So you have 2 sets of 17 to 19, but it's different pages, but then the numbers at the bottom is. So after 20, it goes back to 17 again.
15. You're talking about the printed numbers on the bottom of the page?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's just supposed to be 21, 22, 23,
17,
24.
18, 19, 20. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I mean,
That's a typo.
minor.
I apologize for this.
Okay, anybody has any questions for the chief regarding his report? Okay, anybody from the public? I don't see anybody. I don't see any virtual hands. Okay, if not, we can we take a short 10-minute recess and then come back and continue with new business? Thank you.
Give the state for the record, time, 10:35.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go to, now is 10:24. So let's go at 10:34. Come back. Thank you. Okay, can we get back to our seats?
Take that back. They go in there. But it was hanging down in the columns.
Okay, it's 10:34. We can resume the meeting. Next up on the agenda is new business. So as to each item below, the commission will receive a report from the temporary fire chief or designee on the subjects described and may review and discuss those subjects and ask questions. A request that further information be provided at a future meeting and initiate an inquiry under Rule 7 of Fire Commission rules. The commission may also discuss, deliberate, decide, and take action on recommended improvements on the fire chief and to make related budgetary recommendations to the mayor and managing director and county council. So we have several things that we're going to discuss. The first we can start with is ocean safety staffing and recruitment. So current ocean safety staffing levels and vacancies, the status of recruitment and hiring efforts, factors limiting the number of qualified applicants, and measures underway or under consideration to generate greater interest in these positions and to streamline the recruitment process. So just one of the things that, of course, ocean safety is very important because they're the first line of defense at the beach. Somebody's caught in a riptide or drowning. If we call 911, call the fire department, it takes a while for them to get there, and by the time they get there, they might be under. So lifeguards right there at the beach, very important. Also, preventative measures that they do to prevent incidents from happening. They're actually the true ambassadors for the county of Hawaii because they are right there dealing with the public directly and being able to inform the public of any hazards present and stuff. So anyway, knowing that they are important, we have what was that, a 14% or 11% vacancy rate right now. And how many total water safety officers we have on the line, island-wide?
Bradley Young, Battalion Chief, Ocean Safety. We have 72 water safety officers.
72, that's staffing how many towers?
We have 17 towers along 13 beach parks.
Okay, so I know, the island separated into east and west. And so I guess east side is from Punalu to Hilo, including Poiiki. And then west side is from, I guess, Kahalu all the way to Spencer. And with the biggest beaches, or probably the highest amount of attendance, you would say would be Hapuna and Kahalu, right? Probably.
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess those. So yeah, those two beaches. What is the vacancy rate? I mean, vacancy current rate right now.
So currently we have 2 vacancies at Hapuna. At Kahalu'u, we have 1 vacancy part-time in Kahalu'u. We recently just filled 3 positions this calendar year. And then we had initial recruitment filling 5 positions towards the end of 2025. Currently have 9 vacancies. That includes 2 new reallocated part-time or summer hire positions in the Hilo district. We're reallocating them to permanent full-time instead of contract hires. So that adds up to 9 vacancies currently available. September 1st. Is
So
the plan.
Kahalu has two towers, right?
Yes.
The north and south tower. And the north tower, what is the staffing at the north tower?
So typically, are you asking per tower?
Yes.
So we have, we try to uphold 2 personnel per station, per tower. Kahalu'u North, because of the closer proximity between towers, sometimes we will run one staff, especially because it's one of the junior, smaller towers. And it's one of those beaches where 2 towers, 1 beach. So backup resources are a little closer than.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Hapuna? What is the total staffing assigned to Hapuna?
So typically at Hapuna, they would have about 6 individuals. There's 3 towers at Hapuna, 2 personnel per tower is typically what we would run on a normal day.
What do we have? How many personnel we have assigned to Hapuna?
Hapuna, we have, I think, 14 personnel on that beach.
And out of that, we have 12 with 2 vacancies.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then that includes the rescue watercraft operators too. They supplement the towers, right?
Yes. They often will supplement the North Tower, more ideal for access with their watercraft.
Right. So Hapuna has 3 towers, 2 full towers and 1 junior tower.
The junior tower was relocated a few years ago to Spencer's, the less staffed beach. Spencer's is one of our part-time towers. Still experiencing staff shortages, so weekends, Spencer's, we try to open, but it's been very difficult with the volume of work that Hapuna and Kua Bay also, we're short 1 position in Kua Bay, but since Kua Bay is close to Hapuna, we often fly staff back and forth to cover those stations.
So in any given day at Hapuna, we have 2 on the south, 2 on the north, and 1 on the
The ski
alpha.
team.
But we haven't been staffing the alpha tower, right?
The Alpha Tower and Spencer's in West Hawaii has been our hardest stations to staff recently. Similar to its counterpart in East Hawaii, Onekahakaha and Carl Smith.
So what so that brings me to this situation. So what can we do to ensure that we have staffing for these towers, that we don't leave towers unstaffed?
So the biggest priority that I identified in when I began in late 2025 was vacancies. It's found it difficult to advocate for more positions if we don't have our current positions filled. So right now, we're trying a new strategy, and I'm calling it Operation WSO1. We're doing an aggressive approach to recruitment. So we have 3 recruitments scheduled through the end of this year. We completed 1 with 4 candidates that we're looking to hire. That'll drop our vacancies to 5. And we have our next agility scheduled for September 23rd. And 2 months after that, we'll have our final for the year in the month of November. And the goal is to fill all vacancies. The last tentative date of new hires is January 1st. So 3 rounds of PAEs and recruitments.
Yep. So with the current process that we're doing, are we getting adequate recruitment or adequate candidates in each recruitment? I mean, you say we're going to do 3 recruitments, but in each recruitment, do we have adequate amount of people applying?
Yeah, so typical numbers in the last three PAEs have been, we'll go from 45 original pool of candidates. And for example, this last round, we ended up with 4. The round before that, we ended up with 3. And the first round, late 2025, we ended up with 5.
From 45 down to
Yes,
5.
correct.
And where is what is the reason why it dropped so drastically?
So in the past, we identified that one barrier is notifications of the next steps. We really, I think that's going really well this round, meaning we're able to provide dates of interviews, interview assessments way beforehand, and then we're doing it. We're trying to decrease the downtime so we don't lose interest. I think what was happening was in the time where candidates are waiting for notifications, they're finding other jobs and becoming comfortable in their lives. And then I think our recruitment numbers might have been dropping. The other barrier is, of course, the physical agility. And so we're working with, we did 2 things. One was met with Department of Human Resources to explore what other options do we have. So we identified, we found language in PD's recruitment where if they fail in agility, they're now offered 1 retake. And we also offer a training working with the pool lifeguards. So we successfully did one where 1 guy who failed, 1 candidate came back and we're able to train them. I have a flyer that I brought. So hoping to give possible candidates a little bit more tools in knowing what to expect and some tips on how to streamline their physical agility.
Okay, so sounds like one of the roadblocks is the notification. So if somebody passes, then we have a time lapse and before we notify them. So how can we, I mean, trying to think of how can we expedite the process? I mean, I know the county has, some red tape that you have to go through and things like that, but can we as an administration or as administration be able to expedite that process by giving them that contingent you know that just contingent offer right away? I mean, because if they send in, they complete the application, and we already made that change about having the certifications, certain things that you didn't need to have, and we're gonna do it. So, how can we, at the time they just passed the agility, they basically is ready to start, yeah? So is there something, I mean, working with HR, can we give them a contingent offer right there? I mean, at that day or the next day, and then say, or do you do an interview after that?
Yeah, so right now in the current strategy, we already have the interview scheduled. So when we notify the candidates of the assessment date, the physical assessment date, they're also aware of the oral assessment also. And we've got positive feedback from candidates because they're able to request off of work early. We have some candidates that are traveling between counties also. So I think that really helps to maintain our
How
pool of
long
candidates.
after the physical assessment do you do the interview?
This past round, we did 1 week, which was very quick.
Can we do it sooner? I mean, like that day or the next day, then that way they don't have to request for, I mean, more days off if they're in a job, they can just that one day to do the assessment in the morning or agility and then in the afternoon. do
Yeah,
the-
maybe that could be a possibility. I think that would
Yeah,
be worth.
I mean, I'm just trying to brainstorm and think of ways to kind of generate more interest and to fill these slots, Chief.
Yeah, I'll jump in. What Chief Young is experiencing, like where, somebody has a job, they go through the first steps, and then the length of time before so much time passes. And it's not unique to the fire department. This is actually experienced countywide. So human resources from the county has been putting a focus on our language in our postings as we open up recruitments of all sorts, firefighters, temporary positions, and everything that you have, like, we will respond to you within this time frame. It's something that we're identified across the county, is that just labor force, workforce issues are kind of taking people away. People are looking for work. And so we recognize that we need to try to move faster, as fast as possible. Even within our recruit system, between the recruit process from the date they take the physical to the date they hire is about 9 months on average. And that is sort of the process so trying to shave off pieces of that, right? Now, we hope that those candidates who move along the process, this is the dream job. This is if they want to be firefighters, and they're going to wait. I know I quit my job when the opportunity to join the fire department came up. But we definitely, like, it's not unique to ocean safety. It's not unique to fire. It's countywide. And so we've been changing some of our language along the way to address just those issues.
Did you ever try to work with HR and see why it's taking so long from, assessment to hiring?
There's a number of things on the fire side, from written assessment, then to scheduling physical was relatively short because we can control our physical. We can't do that until we get the list of names. But generally speaking, as we move through recruitment, we'll find a facility, we'll find a place. Once it goes through that, we have large portions of the medical exams that becomes the biggest challenge. When we have large candidate pools, 50, 60, 70 people, then we have to schedule for interviews, and we go through the interview process, and then even there, we have 25 to maybe 30 with alternates to try to schedule our physical exams, our back x-rays, all the hearing exams, and all of the things that we need to do before we can hire. There are areas where we can probably shave off time, but it takes a full court press from HR and then from our fire HR to really kind of expedite those things. So we try to control what we can control. What happens in DHR, they do as best they can. We try to manage what we can inside, but we can find areas to shave off time.
I mean, I understand, when we're dealing with, 50, 60 people, but for ocean safety, we're only dealing with maybe 10, and because 10, 12 or whatever. Can we, just try and talk to HR and see if, we can kind of expedite that process for the lifeguards? If the main reason is because of the stall in time before hiring, because I understand, fire guys, they're gonna wait, we get into the fire department and stuff, but sometimes lifeguards, they have, although they want the job, but if something else comes up, then they might take it. I mean, that's what I'm hearing, right? So I don't know. I'm just trying to think how we can fill these vacancies so that we can staff the towers, because unstaffed tower, I mean, I think Brad, you was on the beach for so long. I mean, it's very important to have these tower staff, and the North Tower at Hapuna, I heard like was staffed only like maybe a couple times in the last 6 months or a year or something.
Sorry, you said that's what you heard about the staffing?
Yes, is that correct?
The Hapuna North Tower was staffed one of the lowest out of all the towers of the year, alongside with Spencer's for West Hawaiʻi, as well as Onekahakaha and Carl Smith in East Hawaii. And we capture that data using our Watchtower program. So we used the how many days we did not receive a report as a proxy to how many days the towers were shut down. And that's how we got that data. Yes. I believe So what I did was I contacted Watchtower administrator. We pulled that data of how many days per station we did not receive a report or received a report. So with those numbers, we could probably be able to generate the statistics, the percentages.
Okay, so with the Watchtower app, or with that technology, we should be able to produce like actual staffing percentages as far as when it's staffed, when it's unstaffed. That numbers will be useful, like actual facts.
Yeah.
As we move through this, yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
those are, good tools. But yeah, the bottom line is that we want to try and get staffing available so we can staff those towers. But
We also worked on some some media posting.
is social media?
So we work with our prevention section to do some social media posts to increase the number of recruitment.
So this 2506 is that a WSO1 period?
Correct.
And
As
then-
of February, I believe that was the last update to those posts.
They're WSO1 for how long before they move to WSO2?
2,080 hours before they're able to reallocate.
1 year, yeah.
1 year full time.
1 year full time. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if would be more of an incentive to have it starting, or if mentioning that after 1 year they have a pay increase, because this might not really stimulate people with this. The minimum wage is going to be $18 pretty soon, so yeah, at $26, or yeah, it's only $8 more than the minimum wage. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other ways how we can increase. I'm not trying to badger. I'm trying to help because we're all in this together.
We
yeah.
also we're working with a nonprofit, Big Island Lifeguard Association. So that nonprofit was able to revamp it. It used to exist in previous years, but they're up and running. You can look at the website, Big Island Lifeguards, bigislandlifeguards.org. And that's another entity that can help to increase interest in recruitment. And they also help out with our junior lifeguard program as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I think it's a good job. I mean, if people come and look into it, I mean, they be good. Hopefully, we get more applicants. You know, I was just thinking because, like, you know how Oahu does it. They do a mass PT. I mean, we just have everybody do an assessment. Just okay, everybody swim out there, come here, and whoever the top ones are just giving them applications right there. And it's kind of so. I don't know. Did you ever talk to the other jurisdictions how they do their recruitment?
Statewide, every county is experiencing challenges, similar challenges in vacancies. I think Maui's last recruitments were similar, right around 3 recruits per recruitment. So it's a struggle statewide.
What about people? Oh, do we have anybody like on long-term leaves that are taking up spots or positions that that's why we're lacking staffing?
We have a couple on extended injuries.
I'm sorry?
We have one personnel in West Hawaiʻi and another in East Hawaiʻi on extended injury leaves.
Okay. Okay, anybody has any comments?
Chief, I was just looking at what you had there. I'm assuming that's entry level pay that you have on there. Is that?
Correct.
Is there any way to, like, show like career ladders or something like that, like what the next step is, so that when they look at these kind of applications, they're not just seeing I'm stuck on the beach for $25 an hour. There's actually a career behind this and movements beyond, what they have there.
Yeah, like after the 1 year, your pay increases X amount or whatever.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you for that.
Commissioner Wolf, I had a question. What is the basic qualifications? Because we have the junior lifeguard program. I thought maybe we could,
We do. Yes.
recruit from there because we just had a bunch graduate, right?
Yes, yes. So the basic qualifications is just a GED or high school graduation, driver's license. So in fact, I understand one junior lifeguard tried to come on board this last recruitment, however, did not have a car. So it seems to be another challenge for these young recruits is they also need a vehicle. But I'm glad to report that due to the increased budget that our administration had advocated for, it looks like we're on our way to building some fleet with our fleet replacement plan. So we're starting to have some vehicles that we never had before that we might be able to utilize to address that issue.
Mhm. One of the things that we did in the past before to apply, they needed to have an American Red Cross first aid CPR certification and lifeguarding certification. So we took that out because we were having problems with people getting the certification just to apply. So we took that out and we say, if they get hired, then we will train them and get them the certification, which is, it helped. But yeah, I think we still can do more. So, and we are, so just, yeah, any way we can help try and expedite that hiring process, I think that would be good.
Well, what's interesting is we have another Kauai is spearheading a new internship program that is worth looking into. They hired two pre-graduate, high school graduate junior lifeguards for the summer. They did the same training as the adult WSO ones, and they had a really positive outcome. And it seems like one of them is graduating this year, and it looks like it should be easy in for that candidate.
Yeah, I know the pool lifeguards, they're having staffing shortages too, but that would be another pool of lifeguards that you can, because that would be like a step up from the pool lifeguard going to ocean safety.
It is a natural progression. We have many lifeguards, beach lifeguards who came from the pool, as there are many firefighters who came from the beach.
Yeah, and hope the fire department doesn't take them after they get to ocean safety.
A big deterrent was transportation. They didn't have a car, you
But
said?
that was one of the most recent barriers that I was notified of. One of our junior lifeguard standouts who had just finished high school. We're looking forward to him trying out to join our team. And from what I heard was he had difficulty getting a car and transportation. So that stopped him from moving forward on his end in the process of our recruitment. So that's where that came from.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has any questions, comments? Okay, thanks, Chief. Anybody from the public would like to have any comments on the subject? I don't see anything. Nobody have the virtual hand up, so we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 5B, which is Rescue Watercraft Program Training and Expansion. So the department's Rescue Watercraft Program, including the number and island-wide distribution of certified operators, date and scope of the most recent operator training, in any plan for recurring and refresher training and recertification, current response coverage, and any plan to expand the program and the resources it would require. So again, I know we just completed our operator training for 9 operators, right? 9 operators? 8 operators.
8 operators.
Okay, yeah, so that's great. They're not online yet, but they start when, September 1st?
September 1st was the tentative date. Currently processing with the union at this time.
Okay, and so they're gonna be at the same, so as far as our rescue watercraft is still only at Hapuna and Hilo.
Yes.
And so, first of all, what is the plan for the next operator training?
So I think it worked out really well. The timing of our last training, in the early summer months, June, May, June. The last training coincided with a really good south swell that our operators were able to experience, to train in. Super important that they're able to feel the dynamics of a large, powerful swell. It's a major component of our training. So given the season and also our operation was able to handle it, it's right before our junior guard season. So it's a long stretch. For us, the junior lifeguard program kind of almost marks the end of our year as WSOs. And we try to take a little breather after that before the winter comes around. But so kind of extending to that summer stretch of increased activities, large south swells, especially this past year, along with our junior lifeguard program. Now we're stacking on the rescue watercraft operator training. I'd like to see it happen again in that same time, May, June of 2027.
Oh, that long before we were going to start?
That is the current plan.
Okay.
We do have another training opportunity involving the Coast Guard, as well as 2 training opportunities involving the Coast Guard, and then one more training called the Big Wave Risk Assessment Group in November on the North Shore of Oahu. Hoping to possibly send a couple of staffing with some of our leftover training funds.
And how many rescue watercrafts, jet skis do we have right
We
now?
have 6 currently. We just put in the order for 2 more on fleet replacement plan, and perhaps looking towards the expansion of Ski 3 unit as soon as possible. I think that's something that we might be bringing to the table for our supplemental budget shortly.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Sorry, temporary fire chief. So based on the risk assessment, based on kind of what the data is showing the drownings, I think the greatest area of opportunity for expansion lies within the Kahului region. So essentially a Ski 3 to just kind of supplant what's already happening in West Hawaii. Based on the staffing and with the anticipated positions that we'll need, about 2 additional positions. So that goes, as we look at additional position creation, I've got to go through the fiscal process, the budget submission process, and ultimately the mayor's approval. Last year, as we prepared a supplemental budget request, as we were building the fiscal year 26 budget, the instruction kind of given to the cabinets was no new positions. So all of our supplemental requests, basically we were given the kind of the direction that we're not going to add positions. That said, this year we're still kind of going to try to work for it. We're going to shoot for it, but ultimately, as supplementals make their way through the finance department, it falls to the mayor's desk for approval. He has the authority to approve or to give or take away position, not take away, but to add positions or not. In the absence of new positions, the goal then is to take existing funding, existing positions, and try to build this expansion. We've seen it on the fire side where we're able to reorganize our training section to add new fire captains into training. But by taking away a different position, changing it into a new position. So the challenge with ocean safety is this: if we're not going to create new positions, we have to reorganize. The question is, where do we take from? Which beach do we decrease service in order to add a new service? So as we go through, part of my job is to continue to advocate use this data to present to the mayor's office and hopefully get a, and hopefully be able to build new positions. I think we identified in order to start a full-time ski 3 operation in Kahalu, and with existing staffing, we need 2 full-time positions, minimum 3 positions.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we got 8 new operators trained, but they cannot be assigned to rescue watercraft because they have to have the position as a rescue watercraft operator. Is that correct?
That's true and false. So not true and false, but yes and no. We've revised the position descriptions of all of WSO2s to include language that says they may operate rescue watercraft. And that was done after we went through a review of all the position descriptions to realize that some did and some did not. Whatever original rescue watercraft positions were created, most of those changed. Some of those didn't even get changed appropriately, and some of the other ones didn't get changed. So we're changing that. So the updated redescription of the class will make it so that every WSO2 may operate a rescue watercraft. That said, all of the operators who completed training already occupy WSO2 positions throughout ocean safety. So if we were to pull them to create a new one, then we create vacancies at other beaches, right? And so ultimately, a really robust expansion is the creation of new. So we could probably, given the existing staffing, pull from somewhere else to create a ski 3 tomorrow. We have to make those decisions to say, where are we pulling from? And we identified already staffing shortages at Hapuna, where some of these operators would come from. Identified staffing shortages in East Hawaii, where some of these operators would come from. And so it's a question of where are we going to pull? So I think we've taken a strategic decision that rather than expand, I'd really like make sure that we shore up the existing service so that we're not dealing with staffing shortages. So we are maintaining 7-day-a-week rescue watercraft protection before we start expanding. And that said, we still try.
Okay, so we have this rescue watercraft operators. They get paid a proficiency pay, or is it a different allocation SR rating?
They get a proficiency pay that's according to the supplemental agreement with HDA.
Okay, so that proficiency pay is based whenever they're assigned to the rescue watercraft.
That's correct.
Okay, so would that be a problem? Is that a problem for them to, if they're stationed at a tower, like say somebody's stationed at Punalu, and they're a rescue watercraft operator, they're assigned to the tower as a WSO2, but because if we allocate a rescue watercraft to that area, that tower, they have to be, they can be assigned to that. Would that take like a memorandum of agreement with the union or understanding, and then to say that because we have a rescue watercraft at Punalu Tower, we can pay these guys proficiency pay because in case something happens, they're assigned to that.
If I understand the question correctly, you're asking, can one lifeguard do double duty to an extent? The existing WSO2 staff a tower, and if we put a jet ski there, they can also, while they're getting compensated as the WSO2, that they also then can get the rescue watercraft differential.
Right.
I was not sure. I don't think that model exists anywhere else within our island. That would be something new. And
then we would be able to, we have 6 watercrafts, so we can have one at Puna, one in Hilo. And if we have one at Punalu, so to speak, or Kahalu, well, Kahalu is pretty important too. And then you have just one of the lifeguards that's on duty there that's assigned to the rescue watercraft as an operator and crew person. And then they get the proficiency pay. We're just paying the proficiency pay extra.
I mean, well, I think those are good suggestions. I'll trust operations of the section to our operations chief for that section and how we kind of develop those sections. But everything that's compensation is subject to the CBAs, the unions, and also kind of has to align with our strategy to maintain, to shore up the foundation and maintain consistent service before we look at some of these alternatives that then would maybe draw away service from certain areas.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to see how we can, if there was a plan to expand, because, I mean, obviously that rescue watercraft is a really good tool. I mean, especially when there's waves and stuff, but,
yeah.
But anyway.
The short answer is yes, there is a plan to expand.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you would be willing to share that plan, then it would be, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I'd just like to add a little bit more. The handout that I gave you showing the fatal ocean drownings and the locations. So just to shed a little bit of light strategically, I wanted to bring your attention to the black triangles with the exclamation mark showing identified high frequent and severe incidents from the State Department of Health EMS data. Uh, there's 3 triangles just south of the west corner of the island in a close proximity. By stationing a possible ski 3 unit there, we're able to cover 3 areas of big concern in close proximity with 1 unit of response. So that's why we're targeting that area for expansion, possible ski expansion.
So what is the black spots mean?
It's areas of high frequency and high severity of drownings and incidents. So you can also see on the north point and the south points of our islands are also operational gaps for us in ocean safety. But that cluster of 3 triangles just south of the west corner of the island, I think using this data, we can strategize on where we can focus our expansion efforts.
So looking at this, all the high hazard areas are areas that we don't have access to rescue watercrafts, with the exception, or even lifeguards, with the exception of Maiula, which is close to Kuapea. But other than that, what do we have some kind of plan as to what we think we're going to do with this information?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, lines up with the report we handed out a few meetings ago. This is the data that we use to justify expansion of the program, right? So we're expanding, like if there was an unlimited bucket of money, we would have towers at each of these spots. We would have guards at each of these spots, right? But trying to look at even the challenges to expanding 3 personnel to expand the watercraft program, just multiply that by 100 in order to start staffing each one of these programs. We've made tremendous progress in the last few years regarding staffing, budget, equipment, towers. We are still marching in the right direction overall as far as being able to eventually add these towers. We're years away, though it has been identified. And so again, I think strategically shore up our foundation, expand our jet ski service, and then look at new tower generation. That's sort of the order of things as we move through the next 5 to 10 years with ocean safety, trying to identify towers. But we maintain parks, it's our relationship with parks. So we don't just set up a tower just on county property, just anywhere, right? So the county beach park, we would have to coordinate our expansion would align with Parks and Rec expansion, the Department of, or State of Hawaii beach expansion, as we would have to sort of parallel as the county increases their presence on beach parks, then we can follow by expanding our ocean safety services. We don't get one without the other. So we do meet with, as far as cabinet, we meet with Parks and Rec regularly to go over kind of where we are now with the plans and as we work through these things, as we look at the goals.
That's a long-term goal. So what is the goal to have what at these areas? So how are we going to address that?
But the long-term goal was to identify areas here would be to create funding for the tower, create the funding for the positions to help Parks and Rec create county park facilities at each of those locations, to work with the state of Hawaii to develop a county or a beach location at some of those facilities. It's really it's not a fire department issue alone. It's really an expanded issue to try to advocate for those sections.
Okay, but for the short-term goals, I mean, on expansion, what do we have anything planned for our 6 jet skis?
Yeah, so I'm really happy to report that we have the certified operators now, step 1. Step 2 is getting the equipment on its way. So we have 2 double trailers that the B202 forms were just submitted, along with 2 rescue watercrafts. So we I think we're on a good path as getting the equipment ready. So now is putting that together and deciding where we can pull from our operations or expand on our operations to make that.
Where you think, I mean, off the top of your head?
If we can do that within this fiscal year, that would be amazing.
No, but where? How are you gonna expand? Where are you gonna expand to?
The South Kona district,
So that's
Kailua Pier down to La'aloa, Kahalu'u, down to Kealakekua.
but we don't have towers at Kailua Pier, so where are we gonna do immediate, I mean, short-term goals? Kahaluu Beach?
We have some options. Kailua Pier, we have an office and an existing MOU with the state. Other than that, we're working, exploring other forms of water access. For example, we just began informal communication with KS down at Keoho. They have the county also has a parcel over there. So conversations have begun exploring possible beach access
So
for
we're talking mobile units now.
possibly a mobile unit, correct?
Okay, no, I'm just trying to clarify because we're not going to put them at the towers anymore. I mean, we're still going to have them, but we're not looking at putting it at Kahaluu. We're looking at mobile units first.
It's an option on Kahaluu. I believe we still have a little bit more training to ensure that we can dolly in and out of that beach 100% of the time. Right now, we don't believe we can due to some rock structures and reorganization from the big swells recently. It has been reported to me from my team that they don't think we'll be able to do so. I look forward to doing a beach visit right after this to pull some in-person information from that.
Yeah, because to have a mobile unit, you're gonna need to have emergency vehicle training and all that, right? And trailer training. I mean, they do trailer training already, but it's gonna be more. You can take away from the towers because they're gonna be on the road more. So, do we have anything in the shorter term, like just stationing it or a rescue watercraft at Kahaluu?
I think we've covered that. I think, like I said, as we went through the recruitment process, we outlined the vacancies that currently
no, I
exist.
understand all that. I'm just talking about just the rescue watercraft program in particular right now. I mean, is that one of the short-term goals to have it stationed at Kahaluu Beach?
So the main options that we're looking at right now is Kailua Pier.
Okay, no, that would entail a mobile unit. So that's going to be way down the line. I don't even foresee it in a year. So short term, the next 6 months.
We could potentially look at staging a rescue watercraft at Kahaluu. But for us to incorporate it into our procedures, I would recommend that it would be viable 100% or close to 100% of the time to ensure the safety of our personnel.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, I'm not, I don't want to say what to do, but I think that's the most viable thing right now in the immediate future. I mean, immediate term, since we have the operators, we have the rescue watercraft, but we don't have nothing at Kahaluu, we only have at Hapuna, yeah.
So as we agreed, that's, like you mentioned, that's kind of where we're looking at, right, strategically. But like, again, all the things we just mentioned over the last 15 minutes regarding the personnel, the staffing for that. Yes, we have the operators. As we pull from the question always becomes, where do we pull from? So as we just went over the staffing shortages that exist in East and West Hawaii, in order to pull those positions and staff something tomorrow, we probably could. Then we still deal with the
just
vacancy.
use existing position. Do you have anybody, I mean, yeah, and I don't know, I mean, you can have to have transfers, or maybe if one of the operators was from Kahaluu, they could just be, assigned to the rescue watercraft as part of one of the existing positions.
Every time we reassign somebody from their home location, we create a vacancy at that home location.
Understand. Understand. No, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. wanted to try and see how we can start moving this along, but thank you. Anybody has any questions on?
Oh, Commissioner Wolf, I just wanted to make a statement that if I was a visitor, I wouldn't want to be swimming by Kauai High.
I think it's good advice.
One more thing I'd like to point out, on the heat map in our chief's report, I figured out how to put gray dots on the actual incidents that our team responded to. And interesting that when we did have our training in Honokahau, we had our resources during that big swell that actually responded to during the training to a couple of the events. So anytime you'll see a gray dot outside of the normal heat plot, that's our ski units responding. So you'll see a dot way up north. And I do remember that call, and they went very far and got there in a timely manner. And really happy they're able to bring those 2 paddle boards home safe.
Yeah, anybody else? Anybody from the public? I don't see anybody from the public here. Nothing from virtual hands, so we can move on to the next item. C, incident involving Medic 11 during Hurricane Lala. Response in which Medic 11 sustained damage in flood conditions during the August 2026 Hurricane Lala storm event, and the departmental policies and procedures that apply, including any policy governing the commitment of apparatus and personnel in flood, storm, or other hazardous conditions, the department's social media policy as it applies to the recording and posting of images or videos on active incidents, and the department's post-incident review process. So, we all know, it's so sad that what happened in Punalu and all the people there. But there was one incident where our ambulance, I don't know if you're all aware, but that ambulance was responding to an incident and was overcome by flood waters, and the whole windshield got broken into flood waters when we're right into the medic. I mean, it's a big loss for our department. Luckily, personnel was safe, but we lost that ambulance. It's a total loss, right? It was a total loss.
That's for the insurance adjuster to identify whether it's a total loss or not. We are optimistic that we can rebox, that we can save the box and replace the chassis and save the county on the replacement cost.
Yeah, but if anybody saw that, I mean, on social media, it went right through all the equipment, everything, right through the patient area and through. So anyway, you want to give a synopsis of what happened with the ambulance?
I can. Just briefly, the ambulance responded to a call for service. While responding, the floodwaters increased. They were swept by floodwaters against a guardrail that remained there. The 2 occupants were able to get out of the vehicle, and with the National Guard help, was able to get back to safety.
Okay, so the investigation is ongoing.
Yeah, you've seen, we did the green sheet, a CERT review, as you've seen that email that's come through, announcing the incident. And basically the CERT review, I wouldn't call it an investigation. We do currently a CERT, a significant event review team. It's a holistic approach to review near misses and injuries that have happened to members of our department. This will be the 3rd time we've putting an incident through this type of review as a way to identify gaps, identify solutions, and improve. So yes, that CERT significant event review is ongoing.
Did everybody in the commission aware of a CERT or what the CERT is? Maybe you can explain what.
Certainly. Again, it's included within the emails that have, I make an assumption that the commission receives the emails from the department. As we've gone through that, CERT stands for, SERT stands for Significant Event Review Team. Now, this is different from the after action reviews. So normally if, say, there's a brush fire, an after action review will go over sort of what happened, who responded, when, how, what the events were done, any gaps, any challenges that were overcome, and then make recommendations. The CERT process is different from the after action process. The CERT process takes a personnel decision. It's not a large incident. Generally, it's things where their safety comes up. Like I said, this is the third one. We went through the same exact process following Engine 11 when that rolled over. We recently did this process for a weapons incident that occurred in Ocean View. So this is the third, and what this process really entails is to interview the people involved, interview a team of peers, look at choices, what they would have done, what they could have done, what peers would have done, and sort of identify where, if there are gaps in the approach in the situation, to be able to make recommendations and apply that. I recently just reviewed recommendations from a one that occurred in July. A review, based on that review, we make action items. I task the two ACs with identifying action items based on that. So that is our CERT process.
Was that completed already?
The CERT process for which incident?
Was completed?
For which incident? I'm sorry.
Medic 11.
No, it is ongoing.
Oh, it's ongoing. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Would we be able to get a result of that once you complete it? Is that?
Generally,
Yeah, once all the actions are completed.
Okay.
can inquire.
Thank you. We can table that. I mean, the other part of this was the part about the social media policy. We have a social media policy in the department. Yeah.
that is correct.
And did you see the posting of this incident?
I don't use social media personally, but I was forwarded pictures, yes.
So they yeah, whoever was on the I don't know what the name, something Zach something, but they were on or anyway.
Sorry. Are you identifying the people who posted?
No, we don't have to identify it, but it's just that whoever posted it was somebody that was on the ambulance, obviously, because he was writing while responding to the call, and is that part of the social media policy?
Our social media policy, again, this is, you guys have seen it. You guys, the commission has seen this policy, has reviewed it. Section J, as far as personal use of social media,
Sorry.
employees.
DCC Takamura, I'm gonna interject just briefly. Can we just keep it at the policy level without addressing the direct incident, as it could be ongoing or potential?
Absolutely. Our social media policy does prohibit employees from using social media and posting anything related to employee job activities while on work time using or county equipment.
Okay, that's it. I mean, that's under investigation too, or is that under investigation?
If you're asking about whether or not we are investigating potential violations of our social media policy,
You don't have to respond.
yeah, I don't know if that's appropriate for the commission, about whether or not, I mean, we certainly want our employees to adhere to policy. And as a department, when we identify violations, we go through the investigative process in accordance with the CBA.
After it's completed. Okay, we'll just wait till after the investigation is completed. Right, okay. Okay, anybody has any questions on that? If not, we can, anybody from the public has anything? I don't see anybody from the public. We can move on to the next item, number D, Department Overtime Policy and Practices. The department policies and internal controls for authorizing, documenting, reviewing, and reporting overtime, including officer level overtime and overtime incurred for station coverage, with reference to August 2026 Daniel K. Noe Highway Saddle Road wildland fire and the recent Hurricane Lala flood response, with overtime expenditures measured against current fiscal year appropriation. And only brought this because things were brought up within personnel in the department on the use of overtime. But I don't know, did you have a chance to review any of the overtime?
Sorry, you said that this was brought up by personnel in the department
Yes,
to you or to you?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, as far as we do have overtime policies, rank for rank recall, generally speaking, the fire department employs a number of policies regarding overtime and incident response. This is usually governed by rank. We maintain our rank for officers, we maintain our rank for rank policy. We maintain a ranked recall policy. We maintain an FMS recall policy for ambulances. We do not currently maintain a firefighter recall policy. That's something that we've been working with the HFFA to develop. So BCs, our battalion chiefs who are responsible for staffing and maintaining response to any incident, are given the authority to recall the fill needs within every incident by position. If we need a captain, we recall a captain. If we recall an FEO, we recall an FEO. If we recall a firefighter, we recall a firefighter. And so for each of those positions, again, with the exception of firefighter, we generally follow the applicable policy for each of those incidents.
Okay.
So for each of these incidents, this Daniel K. Inouye fire, as well as Hurricane Lala, our overtime policies were in place, were followed to the best of, best ability for them to follow them, as well as additional directives from my office to increase staffing, to support recovery and response and recovery to the hurricanes.
Okay, so yeah, I understand the BCs are in charge of the overtime. Who is in charge of overseeing the BCs overtime?
The person who's responsible for chief's overtime would be the assistant chief operations, in the absence of a deputy, myself.
Okay, and do you or the assistant chief have to approve all overtime for the battalion chiefs?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because there are just a couple of instances. I don't know if you ever got to look into it, but specifically for the BCs on that couple of incidents. One was, the Daniel K. Inouye, but there was even a station, and again, it may be a rumor or just somebody just saying things that was not true, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case, so you guys or you or the assistant chief can just look into it. It's not a complaint, but it's just, they said that they had incidents of BCs sort of, and they used the word abusing overtime, and which is, in the next, which is bringing down morale. And so I wanted to dispel that rumor if they come to me. So I wanted to get, if I get information from you or you confirm that, or your AC, then I can dispel the rumor when they come to me and they say stuff like that. I can say that, the chief addressed it and they looked into it and that was false or whatever. But anyway, if you don't have to answer that today, if you can just be aware and try and look at those specific dates. Was the 17th at the station, was a normal station, manning staffing that they used BC for just a staffing, manpower issue or staffing station coverage, which I don't see that happening. But again, that was just a rumor. And if that was happening, then I think that's something that the AC or yourself should kind of look into, because that is using, somebody has much higher pay scale to staff a lower position in the fire department. So anyway, we can move on. And that relates to the next section. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I don't see anybody from the public here. And if anybody has any questions or anything they want to talk about, discuss on that. Okay. And then the next E is departmental morale issues, which is related to all the things that we discussed. So employee morale within the department, including among ocean safety and fire personnel, the mechanisms and department uses to assess morale, to receive employee concerns, the general nature of concerns received, and measures underway or under consideration to address them. So again, some of the things was the staffing at Hapuna saying, that they're short-staffed out with towers that go unmanned and things like that. So that was one of them, and the other was that BC overtime thing and the abuse of power. But again, it's not a formal complaint. It's not, something that, I think we have to address as a commission. But I think just wanted to give you information so that you can help dispel any rumors like that. And I don't know, I mean, in the department, there's always going to be morale issues and things like that. So, you have any comment on any? You can turn on your mic.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Regarding the mechanism that currently exists to evaluate morale, there are many. One is a safety. We have an anonymous submission issue. We have the safety specialist sends out emails regularly that provide an opportunity to do so. There are mechanisms within the communications. The expectations of the operations BCs has changed significantly in the last couple of years. As part of that exchange, the expectation is regular routine connections with their company officers, with their meeting, with the personnel under them. The point of that is to address exactly what you're mentioning. So the mechanism within the department to address morale issues are first to identify it. As we identify it, it makes its way through the chain of command, and all those mechanisms are there. Regarding the morale specifically, no major morale issues have been brought to my attention. So you're hearing things that were not coming up. So I would encourage, if you do hear morale issues, report them through the chain of command. There is a CBA that allows for specific disciplinary or specific contractual obligation violations. That's there. We also recently did an internal survey as part of our community risk assessment that followed on the heels of an unpopular contract award. And as far as the agenda item is the nature of concerns raised, the majority of morale issues that were raised through that survey were compensatory, resulting from contractual obligations, contractual developments with the HFFA, things that are outside of the fire department's control to manage. We will do the best we can to address any morale issues that come up. I am certainly aware that morale is important. It is significant. With a department of greater than 600 employees who are being stretched past their limits, given these last fire after fire after storm after storm, there's going to be a few people that are upset. That is natural. You guys all saw the memos that all the storm updates that we were sending out, storm event after update after update after update. In fact, specifically in one of the updates, I specifically mentioned human. It's human to feel scared, to be angry, to be anxious, right? To recover as we're being tested like never before. So I do recognize as a fire chief that morale issues can come up and can ebb and can flow. Our job is to address them, to connect with people, and to push them towards the existing systems to work. I don't know what I don't know. But as soon as I know,
Exactly.
we address things.
That's why, I want to help, you and I want to help the department. I want to get everything, I would love to have a high morale and everything. And that's why when, people bring up comments and they'll tell me things because they know that, of course, I'm in the commission and they know me because I used to work in the department. And so they bring up things and I don't want to just, accuse anybody of doing things. So I wanted to, I would like to just bring it up with you so that you have a chance to, dispel any rumors or whatever false misinformation that's gone out there.
Certainly, like I said, that internal survey we completed, it did highlight the contract issues, but generally the morale was high. Pride in the department, pride in the service we provide to the community, pride in being a member of the Hawaii Fire Department was all high. Generally speaking, the average morale, according to the data that I have in front of me, is that the vast majority of this department is very happy to come work every day and take care of the public. And I'm proud of that. I would ask the morale issues, I'd ask the commission in general as a body, is anybody else receiving these issues? Does anybody else have morale questions, concerns, or they just come to you? Is anybody else, are firefighters reaching out to anybody else with morale issues?
I don't know how many people talk to people in the department.
I don't know. I don't know I assume that all the commissioners interact with represent their communities represent, interact with the stations or interact with the fire service in the community. And
Right.
it keeps their kind of ear to the ground. And I was just wondering if there were any issues,
Yeah.
you can always come
I
through the
mean,
process.
And I mean, not to say that the commission doesn't care, but I have a passion for the Department of Guards. I don't know if you can sense it, but every time I like to talk to personnel and talk to lifeguards or whatever, right? Because I like to hear what's going on at their level and see how the department is going. Because any way I can kind of help foster a better department, I think. I think that's my whole goal. I mean, I have no stake in this other than just being on the commission here. But anyway, thank you. Anybody else any
Yeah,
questions?
I'd like to say, I do communicate with some fire department personnel and all good comments,
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that, one friend has two sons that are in the fire department, and then the other friend has the husband. So nothing real negative. Just, everybody's kind of stressed out right now, right? Because of Ka'u. So thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, if not, nobody from the public. I don't see nobody on Zoom. Okay, we can move on to the next item, which is unfinished business. A, consideration of the process to appoint a permanent fire chief. The commission may discuss the process for interviewing, selecting, and appointing a permanent fire chief in accordance with Rule 11 on the Fire Commission rules. Commission may also discuss, deliberate, decide, and take action, including action to affirm, amend, rescind, or replace any decision previously made as relates to the following subjects: written and oral interview procedures, evaluation and scoring, selection, methodology, and voting, notice to candidates, schedule, location, and location of proceedings, and post-selection procedures. Commission will also receive an update from the Department of Human Resources relating to the status of the notice to candidates, candidate status, and other tasks delegated to DHR. The subjects and examples described above are not exhaustive, and the commission may discuss and act on matters within each subject described above, including procedural and implementing matters necessary to give effect to any decision made under this item. So we would have HR on Zoom. Okay, and then they can give us a brief synopsis of where we're at right now.
Hi, good morning. Summer Tokihiro, Director of Human Resources. So an update for you folks, all of the notices went to the candidates yesterday, scheduling the written assessment and their oral interview. And we've had one candidate withdraw. So there will be a total of 7 candidates to interview.
Okay, thank you. So 7 total candidates.
7 total candidates received the notices yesterday. The due date for them to respond, providing us with their consent form, acknowledging that they're gonna continue in the process. The due date for that is gonna be September 2nd. So on or about September 4th, we will be providing the commission with the names of the candidates.
Okay, so September 2nd is the deadline, and September 4th is when you'll provide the names of the candidates to the commission.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, anybody has any questions regarding the process or the timeline of the fire chief selection? Well, I'd like to thank Cameron and Summer and Kira for all the hard work in creating this or editing and re-editing and just going over everything, the letters to get this ready for us, for the commission and to, yeah, for Summer for sending it out. And also Stacy, I knew I was missing somebody, but thank you. Tell Stacy, thank you very much too. She was very instrumental in this.
Will do. Thank you.
Anybody has any questions, any discussion on the process or what to expect? Because it's gonna be on September 24th. 23rd is when they're gonna be doing the written test and which will be proctored by HR, Summer and our Stacy. And then on the 24th is when we do the interviews. So what time, it's gonna be in Hilo, what time would the interview be? The first interview, or what time do we as a commission have to report there?
So the meeting itself starts same time as normal meetings, 9 a.m.
9 o'clock. So, what time is the first candidate gonna report for their interview? Or what time are the candidates gonna be reporting to the sequestration area or if they choose to, or to the room at the county council chambers area?
We're expecting them to appear at the same time, 9 a.m., prior to 9 a.m.
Okay, and then what time would the first interview be? Because well, the commission gonna have to take a look at the questions. I mean, they're gonna probably have that'll be the first time they'll get to see the questions. And then we have to get all the paperwork ready for the scoring. So what time would the first interview start?
Thought that we decided that they're gonna get testimony from 9 to 9:30, and then the first one will be 9:30. I thought that's what we.
Yeah, so that's the tentative schedule right now, but it always depends on how long the public testimony runs, right? Because we have to hear the public testimony first.
Yeah, so what time like would the first candidate be scheduled to for the interview?
So based on your guys voting on the schedule, the first tentative interview is set for 9:30. But again, that depends on how long public testimony runs.
Okay, got it. Okay, and as far as the logistical things, who is going to be taking care of that?
So I am working with the mayor's office as well as fire and HR regarding logistics for the sequestering and all that process.
Okay, and the time clock?
We can find one.
No,
Yeah, we'll work out all the logistics.
Okay, got it. I don't have to worry about any of that. Okay,
Well,
thank
if you have any specific requests that you want to make sure that we consider, then you can let us know.
Okay, I think we're good on that. Anybody has any questions? What to expect? And then the 25th is when we respond. I mean, we report to to tally up the scores. So after the 23rd, you're gonna, Summer, email the candidate answers to us so that we can start reviewing it?
So after the assessment is completed on September 23rd, we'll actually be providing the commission secretary with all of the applicant information. So it include their application and their written assessment,
Okay,
so that you'll have that in advance of the interviews on the 24th.
okay. Okay, and then after the interview concludes on the 24th and the 25th, we just convene at 9 o'clock again?
Yes, that's the schedule.
Okay, so 9:25, 9 a.m. And then we'll review all the, or tally up all the scores. And then we, like, what we agreed upon, we narrow it down.
And the schedule, as you guys voted upon in the last meetings, will be on agendized under
Okay.
Sunshine Law, so.
Okay, got it. Anybody has any questions?
Commissioner Kushney, so for the written scoring, are we just gonna write in our 1 through 5 score on their sheet? Or are we gonna be given score sheets to correspond with anonymized numbers? How's that gonna work?
To my understanding of your question, yes, the commission will receive the scoring rubrics for use with grading.
Okay, so
scoring
we just
rubrics
write our score on their sheet
on the
for each
scoring
question.
rubric that you folks approved at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago.
So they give it to us when they send in the written responses from the candidates.
So we'll get, we'll have the score sheet, and so we'll put all our scores on that.
Yes, that's
rubric,
what I
so-
understand. Is that correct? Summer?
Yes, so as Cameron mentioned, you folks voted on and approved the scoring rubric, so that will be provided with the individual assessments.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Sure, we can we have him?
Yeah, and just a reminder that there is a 5-minute time on the public testimony.
Okay, so we have Chris Hirose, he can speak, and you have up to 5 minutes. Chris, thank you.
I'm Chris Hirose. My agenda item is the new fire chief. I want the next fire chief to be open to early treatment options for the next pandemic. Also to advocate his firefighters not have a vaccine mandate. Brave AI, multiple lawsuits challenging vaccine mandates have resulted in significant victories for plaintiffs, including multi-million-dollar settlements, court-ordered reinstatements, and the expungement of vaccination records. If the fire chief's EMTs treated patients with nebulized hydrogen peroxide, they could have saved many lives. White blood cells produce hydrogen peroxide to kill bacteria, viruses, and cancer. Dr. Joseph Mercola said that nebulized hydrogen peroxide is the most effective therapy for acute upper respiratory infections like flu and COVID. He saw severe COVID resolved in hours. One of Dr. David Brownstein MD's patients, Jack, was hospitalized.
Okay, is that it?
No, sorry. My machine got stuck.
Okay, you can continue.
Okay, you wanna pause the timer while the testifier restart or continues their testimony?
COVID and then just put on oxygen. The doctors told Jack that there was nothing more they could do. Jack decided to go home. He then called Dr. Brownstein and said that he was going to die and was too weak to travel. Jack nebulized hydrogen peroxide at home. On the first treatment, his chest tightness and pain eased. On the second hourly treatment, it was a miracle and he could breathe again. It took 3 days to feel close to normal. Jack's story was not unique. My friend during COVID was in the high-risk group and couldn't breathe. He was thinking of going to the hospital. He nebulized hydrogen peroxide and got instant relief. Dr. Brownstein nebulized every day after work, treated COVID patients and didn't get COVID, until a staff member brought it into the office. Dr. Brownstein tried to get the message out about his protocol with blog posts. The FTC stopped him and made him delete his posts saying he needed a study. He came out with a study that had 107 COVID patients with no deaths. Then the FTC said he needed a randomized control trial that would risk half his patients. Dr. Brownstein's book about his protocol, A Holistic Approach to Viruses, is protected by the First Amendment. If a viable early treatment for COVID was available, the Emergency Use Authorization (EUA) for the COVID vaccines couldn't be authorized. Special interests run the federal government and will sacrifice lives for profit. Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases (NIAID) received $400 million royalty payment from Moderna. NIAID funded Ralph Baric, who invented COVID and its predecessor SARS and was granted patents for both. Worked with and wrote a paper with Zhengli Shi, the Wuhan Institute of Virology director. Wrote a paper on how to treat COVID with zinc ionophores. Early COVID treatment pioneer Dr. Valdemar Zelenko MD used Baric's paper to develop his protocols. His protocols includes zinc and zinc ionophores, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, quercetin and ECGC. Dr. Zelenko said that his protocol would likely work on future pandemics. Fauci discredited both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. The former FDA commissioner Stephen Hahn went to work for Moderna's venture capital founder. The previous commissioner Scott Gottlieb is on the board of Pfizer. The FDA hid harms of the COVID Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. This was proven by Pfizer's and Moderna's own documents. These documents were obtained from the FDA by attorney Aaron Siri with Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) requests and court battles. The Pfizer and Moderna documents were compiled into understandable books by teams of researchers. These are the Pfizer papers and the Moderna papers. These books show the Pfizer and Moderna knew that the vaccines were unsafe and not effective. Edward Dowd in his book, Cause Unknown, The Epidemic of Sudden Deaths in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, shows vaccines causing disability and death. Dowd said, from February 2021 to March 2022, millennials experienced the equivalent of the Vietnam War, with more than 60,000 deaths. The Vietnam War took 12 years to kill the same number of healthy young people we've just seen die in 12 months. His book showed dramatic increased COVID deaths after the vaccines in numerous countries. This is called vaccine-associated enhanced disease in the Pfizer papers. The U.S. COVID deaths were rigged and didn't show a dramatic increase. The Gates Foundation Trust turned a $55 million investment in Pfizer's partner BioNTech into over $550 million. The Gates Foundation, NIH, NIAID and DoD funded bird flu gain-of-function research. This research has enabled bird flu infecting humans. How it was done was made public information. The fire chief should be a conspiracy theorist and his pronouns, I told you so.
Ooh. Okay, thank you. Yes, 5 minutes is up. Thank you. Do we have anybody else? Nobody else. Okay, we can move on to the. Okay. Sorry, we can go on. Stacy Domingo, you have 5 minutes.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time. I just have two questions. Number one, is there a time frame for the amount of testimony, or is there a cutoff of when, like how many hours you guys would be setting aside for the interviews? If they were to start 2 hours delayed, 5 hours delayed, do you have a plan for that? And then my second question is for the sequestering of the candidates. Are they going to be sequestered during testimony, or would they be able to listen to the testimony?
So, I think I heard you right about 5 minutes per question. Or we're gonna, for the public testimony, we're allowing 3 minutes for that day from public testimony. And then as far as sequestration, I mean, we'll have everybody in a room, and after they complete their interviews, then they will be free to leave.
Do they need to be sequestered during the testimony part, or can we listen to the testimony?
Yes, the sequestration is from 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else we have? Is that all on, no other testimonies? Okay. I don't see any reason that we have to go into executive session. Does anybody have any reason to go into executive session for legal advice? No? No? If not, we can move on to the next item would be item 9. And that would be agenda items for the next meeting. And obviously, the agenda item would just be the fire chief selection process, so anybody else has anything else they needed to add to the agenda for the next meeting? If not, announcements is the commission's next meeting will be for the hiring of the fire chief and are currently scheduled for Thursday, September 24th and Friday, September 25th, both at 9 a.m. in the Hawaii County Building Council Chambers, 25 Aupuni Street, Suite 1401, Hilo, Hawaii 96720. And that's in addition to the written assignment, which will be the day before on September 23rd. Anybody has any questions, comments? Okay, if not, we can adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.